So it's not a complete failure, but you got to win.
All right, kickoff coming up with Lowell and Ahmad. We leave you now with the eyes of Texas.
Welcome to Texas football, presented by Target. The Longhorns enter the final three-game stretch of the regular season. They need to win 2 of the last 3 to become bowl eligible. Best shot tonight against the 1-8 Kansas Jayhawks. You see the Jayhawks at 0-6 in conference play, Texas 3-3. Keep in mind when you look at the Big 12 standings, top 2 go into the Big 12 championship game 2.0. Oklahoma and TCU, the front runners for that, set the stage for their showdown later tonight. Hello and welcome to Austin. Who's ready for a rematch? We certainly are. Lowell Galindo here with the former Texas captain, Ahmad Brooks. You probably remember Puna Ford in Lawrence, Kansas, laying on the turf like he just got hit by a truck. Charles Omenihu taking off the helmet, spiking it on that turf as well. That's frustration. The frustration of a loss to the Kansas Jayhawks. But that is a loss that got the wheels turning in a process that eventually landed Tom Herman here in Austin, Texas. A year later, Ahmad, what's the state of the program?
Well, there have been drastic improvements in terms of the team's energy and effort, and obviously defensively. When you look at this team, they're playing with a greater desire, and they've remained positive despite not getting the desired results on the football field. This defense is locked in and playing a ferocious style of football. However, the challenge has been the lackluster year that this offense is having. Texas is still in search of an offensive playmaker, a game changer, and I'm aware of the injuries and the lack of depth along the offensive line, but today marks another opportunity for an offensive playmaker to emerge and take the reins of this offense.
And they are getting healthier. Zach Shackelford is back. However, Terrell Cooney will start at center. Sam Ellinger back healthy, as well as Tanil Carter. All 3 available tonight against Kansas. Texas 4-5 all the season, and this is how we got there. Week number 1, the shocker here in Austin, Maryland taking down Texas 51-41. Texas 0-4 against ranked teams, including 4 of the best quarterbacks in America. They've had heartbreak in overtime, losing 2 of their 3 OT games, a lone win against Kansas State. And this is what's on the line. Have to win 2 of the next 3. Kansas, West Virginia, Texas Tech. Also for Texas fans, running out of time. 1 more home game left this season, and perhaps to see Malik Jefferson wearing the burnt orange, because he's going to have some options. It's been that kind of year for Malik.
Yeah, his game has grown and developed, and there are 3 things that stand out to me: the smarts, the sound technique, and the speed in which this young man plays with. Let's start with the smarts here. You're going to see Malik learning to play the numbers inside of the box. Here he shows great alignment over the center and then moves at the snap of the ball and gets a great jump on the ball for a 1-yard play. Here's sound technique, no wasted motion. And watch how he moves to the football and is precise with his tackling. And last but not least, speed. He beats the left guard with speed and then takes an outstanding tackling angle and runs through the ball carrier for a tackle for loss. But Malik right now is locked in. He's the leader of this defense, and there's a reason why he's one of the top NFL linebacking prospects in the country.
Won the Buckus Award in high school and is now a semifinalist for the Buckus Award on the college level. We now welcome in Chris Button to tell us about a family affair here between Texas and Kansas.
Lowell, if there is one person who is sick and tired of hearing about Kansas beating Texas last year, it's Nashon Hughes. That's because his brother, Chris, is a starting offensive guard for Kansas. Now, he has had to endure all the heckling over the last year, so he told me, Texas better win this one because I can't handle another year of all those bragging rights from Chris. Now, their rivalry goes all the way back to high school when Chris started playing on the offensive line and Nashawn playing at linebacker. The two would battle on the field all practice. This will be the first time that they're actually back on the field together against each other because last year Chris was redshirting. So it should be a fun family rivalry to see tonight, guys.
Chris, thank you so much. And now for Veterans Coin Toss presented by the Texas Lottery. Jim Moriarty and Chuck Llewellyn are the fathers of two fallen Green Berets who were killed last November on a training mission in Jordan. Sergeant First Class Matthew Llewellyn attended the University of Kansas, and Staff Sergeant James Moriarty went to the University of Texas. These fallen soldiers are being honored as the veterans of the game.
Have a good game.
David Beatty, season number 3 with the Kansas Jayhawks, 3-30 as the head coach. He thought the breakthrough moment would be about this time a year ago when he brought up to us just a couple days ago. The scenario was very eerily similar last season compared to what it is this year.
Well, he's not selling a wolf ticket to his players. Most of the players on this roster remember what it was like last year in Lawrence to take down the Longhorns. And I believe that that was one of the boosts that this program needed to perhaps come into the state of Texas. 37 players on this roster call this state home, and you'll see that today. They will play with a different type of energy and a confidence knowing that on the road last year they were able to come away with the victory.
David Beatty considers himself a smarter, better-looking version of Tom Herman. And he can say that because they're pretty much best friends. Beatty was a receivers coach when Herman was the offensive coordinator under David Bailiff at Rice. They've had their struggles in the first season. As you mentioned off the top, a lot of that has been offensively. They are not going up against an elite defense in the Kansas Jayhawks. And for the rest of this 3-game slate to wrap up the regular season, for that matter. Kansas won the toss. They elected to defer. Texas to receive. Chris Boyd and little Jordan Humphrey back deep for the Longhorns. And it's an onside kick to start this one off. But John Burt falling on it. Texas will start at about midfield. How do you like that, Ahmad?
Well, you got to take a risk, and if you're David Beatty, you roll the dice. It didn't work in their favor there, but I think that's the type of ball game you're going to get from the Jayhawks.
Gutsy call right off the bat for David Beatty. Trying to make something happen. But this Texas offense, can Shane Buechele make something happen? As this is a team that only rushed for 9 yards against TCU. And look at this. Chris Warren lining up as an H-back tight end. This week he has made a transition to a new position for this Texas offense. Buechele wants it all. He's got Lorenzo Joe. Touchdown!
What a beautifully thrown ball there from Shane Buechele. We saw this part of his game last year as it was really highlighted that he could throw the ball downfield. Watch my man Lorenzo Joe gets on top of Hassan defense, toes, and from there just the separation. But Buechele put that ball in a location where he could run through the catch. Outstanding first play for the Texas Longhorns.
And Mitchell Becker with the change at kicker puts it through for the extra point. It's 7-0. That was quick, 49 yards.
They'll take a shot, and they went max protect here, meaning you see those numbers in there. There's just not any creases. A clean pocket for Buechele to throw, and typically when he has a clean pocket, this is one of the more accurate passers in the Big 12. And him showing it there, just a brilliant ball there, and Lorenzo Joe running right underneath the catch. Celebrate, young man. You may not throw a better ball all game.
Don't want to make too many comparisons to a year ago. But last season in Lawrence, 11 seconds into the game, Buechele hit Petey Warwick for 75 yards. And Kansas was able to weather the storm. Lorenzo Joe, he was the guy that Tom Herman singled out when he talked about the problems with this offense. It's been a lack of attention to details. We asked him who does it the best in terms of the details, and he said Lorenzo Joe.
And he said if you watch 3 weeks of practice, you may never go a time where you have to correct this young man on his technique or his understanding of the offense. The former quarterback there from Abilene Cooper understands this offense and is excelling right now at the slot position.
Steven Sims Jr., the KU electric playmaker, to return. He's got it to the 32. Carter Stanley will make his third start at quarterback for the Kansas Jayhawks. Sophomore from Vero Beach, Florida, Dodgertown. 418 passing yards against Kansas State. First Jayhawk with 400 plus since 2009. And he was the guy that gutted out that victory against the Longhorns in Lawrence a season ago. A give to Khalil Herbert. And a short gain. So also major changes for the Texas defense, as arguably their best playmaker, Holton Hill, is out for the season, suspended for violation of team rules. That means Devontae Davis will get the start in his place. How do you see this one working out?
Well, Devontae Davis was a preseason All-Big 12 pick going into last year. Really found himself also in a sophomore slump. He gets another opportunity today to prove himself as one of the top corners here.
To Sims, open field attempt from Antoine Davis, but tackling as a team as Brandon Jones eventually hits home. Chris Boyd in the vicinity as well.
Central Texas product, Antoine Davis filling in for the injured P.J. Locke, doing an outstanding job there of fighting through the block, trying to secure that tackle. That's one of the keys of the game for me, for this Texas defense. They've got to tackle like they have all year long, bringing down ball carriers on initial contact.
Texas with the best third down defense in the Big 12. And that was Holton Hill on the sideline. He is still with the team and practicing on the scout team. Amenahu, the pressure and the sack. Charles Amenahu, but there's a flag on the play.
Offside. Defense, number 44, 5-yard penalty. Replay, third down.
So Brecken Hager gets the early jump, and that will set up another third down.
Oh, he's so eager. And Brecken Hager, who we know is a human wrecking ball out there on the football field. He's got tremendous energy. I love watching that kid play with those long locks hanging out of his helmet.
His job is to go get the quarterback. It's what he does best. And more flags. And it looks like this will be a false start.
False start. Offense, number 77, 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
So like I was saying, 3rd and 10.
I mean, you give it right back to him, and now the matchup to follow will be cornerback number 2, Chris Boyd, who's now occupying the top cornerback spot, taking on Steve Sims Jr., which will be here at the bottom of your screen. They'll be locked up as much as they can.
Texas creep into the line. Jason Hall with the hit, nearly picked off. And welcome back to the big time, Jason Hall. Stanley is down.
Officials timeout for injury to an offensive player.
Jason Hall. This was a man that going into the San Jose State game, game number 2, had 28 career starts. At that time, the most on the team. He's been a role player for this Texas team this season, but Todd Orlando said he was going to get his moment in this game.
That was just some pinned-up frustration. I mean, he comes clean, and you got to give Todd Orlando credit for heating up the pocket at the proper time. And Texas getting home base. Oftentimes when you send those blitzes on 3rd and long situation, you don't always get to the quarterback. That time there, Jason Hall with a nice job of bending, dipping that shoulder on the outside edge, and putting a big pop on Carter Stanley.
He is a tough young man. He's had to battle through some injuries this year. As Coach Beatty checks him out. Well, that's a win for the Texas defense, forcing the 3-and-out. Reggie Hemphill maps. Doesn't have to do much for this. He goes one way, the football goes the other. One play. That's all Shane Buechele needed to get Texas on the board. Will the second play be as fruitful? We'll find out after this. Shane Buechele bringing the Texas offense back out. It's 7-0 Longhorns over the Kansas Jayhawks. One play, 49 yards. That's all Buechele needed to find Lorenzo Joe to make it 7-0. Loa Galindo here with Ahmad Brooks, Chris Budden on the sideline. Daniel Young working the middle, getting a good push after the initial contact. We talked to Tim Beck this week about getting into a rhythm. Said giving his offense less to think about and working quicker will help them find that rhythm. Nice cut from Daniel Young, and he's going to be close to that first down marker, Ahmad.
Yeah, that's one thing that really stands out when you watch Daniel Young. He's just an impressive combination of size, straight line speed with a blend of explosiveness and cutting ability. And this is a young man that tends to run north and south. I would expect this offense to hand it off to him here on a third and short situation to see if he can be the enforcer and move the chains.
And they do. Cuts it back. Buechele gives him a little push forward, and this is going to be close. And it will be short. But here's the extra effort for Buechele.
Yeah, I go quarterback sneak here, or I go right back up the middle, despite there being one of the top defensive tackles in the country in Daniel Wise.
To the outside, Daniel Young with enough to move the chain, so a fourth down conversion for the Texas offense. Shane Buechele, been a tough season for him, battled the shoulder injury after the loss against Maryland, also had the ankle issue pop up in the win against Iowa State, but when he's healthy, how good can Shane Buechele be?
Well, I mean, he obviously has an ability to pass the ball in the pocket that I think no one else on 40 acres possesses, and that's the strength of his game. And I think the more, Lo, that he can add in his running ability and really force the defense to respect his feet, he'll become a better player.
Another give to Young, and he's upended by Hassan Defense. That's a good name for a defensive player, is it not? I mean, your last name literally is Defense.
Absolutely.
Good tempo here. And they swing it out to Ramonte Foreman. Picking up a few, and it's going to set up a third and manageable. Tyrone Miller with the tackle. What do you think about this pace right here?
I like it. You know, and they're moving the ball right now. As long as they can continue to move the chains, it's healthy for them.
3rd and 3, rolling the pocket. Buechele will keep, and he's gobbled up for a loss on the play. Joe Deneen, no surprise, the Big 12's leading tackler is there to bring Buechele down.
Oh, he's such an active player, one of my impact players for today. When you watch film, this kid has great instincts, and he demonstrates an ability that wherever the ball is, he's there. And at that particular time, I like the play call from Beck. You've struggled along the offensive line. You're trying to move the pocket and the launch point for Buechele. That time there, the coverage for Kansas was excellent, and there was nowhere to throw the football.
Michael Dixon, his first punt of the evening. He will try to pin Kansas. And look at that beauty. Yet another inside the 5. How does the 1-yard line sound? Michael Dixon once again stating his case for the Ray guy. Setting up the Texas defense to eat.
Texas football on Longhorn Network is presented by Target. Your UT campus Target is now open in the Dobie Mall on the corner of 21st and Guadalupe. And in part by Coors Light, official sponsor of the Texas Longhorns.
That was the Army Golden Knights delivering the game ball before the start of the game. And this is a statement from the Texas defense as Khalil Herbert doing everything possible to slip out of that tackle from Chris Boyd and avoid a safety.
Yeah, and when we asked Todd Orlando who were the best tacklers on the team, he put Chris Boyd in the top 3, and you saw him there. Great job of closing down that space. Look at how he closes the gap there. Perfect position to wrap up, uses his arms and his legs. Chris Boyd tackling extremely well on the outside edge.
Taylor Martin now taking the direct snap. He keeps and gets out of the end zone, and at this point in time, that's a win for Kansas.
This defense right now smelling blood, and I mean, Brecken Hager just completely reset the line of scrimmage as he pushed back the offensive lineman into the backfield and forced the running back to have to bounce that play outside. And now you get a chance to rush the passer. You would expect to see here one of two things. They're either going to bring a 5- or 6-man pressure, or they're going to rush 3 and drop everybody back, clogging up the passing windows for Kansas.
And that is Carter Stanley back in the game. Started this drive for the Jayhawks at quarterback. Picked off. Antoine Davis. End zone.
Yeah, that's what happens when you start to feel the pressure. Carter Stanley, despite not being sacked, he's feeling the pressure of this defensive line as they are constricting the pocket and laying down landmines all over the place, and it makes it easy for the defensive backs to eat and to get balls like that. What about this defense? Not only are they creating takeaways, but this year, one of the best teams in the nation when it comes to converting those takeaways into points. Texas doing it again in front of the home crowd, this time Antoine Davis.
Fifth-year senior from Bastrop waited for his moment, and with PJ Locke down for injury, Antoine Davis getting the run at nickelback. First career interception and touchdown, and that gives Texas 7 non-offensive scores this season, tied with Western Michigan for the most in the bowl subdivision. They had none of those a year ago. Sims dragged down by Jason Hall, and a flag on the play.
Yeah, I want you to watch this awareness of Antoine Davis. This is the player to watch right here. Now, the wide receiver is going to try to bow this out and to create a passing window here in the middle of the field.
Horse collar tackle. Kicking team, number 31, 15-yard penalty. First down, Kansas.
What a moment, though, for Antoine Davis, known for his speed and showing some of that to go along with the hands. Now the ball has just been moved up. Horse collar tackle on that kick return. So better field position for KU. Oh! Deshaun Elliott. Headhunt. Texas Game Day, we have an award post-game called the Jammer. I think Deshaun Elliott may have just won it.
Well, I mean, there's just no stop here. He ran completely through the ball carrier, and that's a hit that'll be on that young man's highlight reel when it's time for him to play on Sundays.
Gracious. Stanley steps up, spin move as Elliott was teeing up. But a nice play from Carter Stanley. And it's the initial first down of this game for the Jayhawks. 15 yards. Quick pass. And it's hauled in by Evan Fairs, but he just falls over.
Yeah, it's the turf monster. Yeah, that makes a tackle just about every week throughout college football. At time losing his footing, and he might have had an opportunity there on the outside edge. That play is designed to get one-on-one matchups. He certainly had the matchup. He'd had to break a tackle to make something happen.
Big tight end Ben Johnson in the slot. Bottom of your screen. Stanley over the middle. Malik Jefferson, another deke leader.
And as I said in the open of this show, Malik Jefferson right now playing with smarts and speed, and he's demonstrating that right here. An excellent job of dropping back, baiting the quarterback into the underneath throw, and then I mean just coming up with complete ferociousness to now drive them back behind the chains. And here's where this defense gets interesting. It looks like they're only going to rush 3 here and drop numbers back.
Gary Johnson approaches the line with Malik Jefferson. Johnson gets through quickly. Looking to the bottom side, and it's going to be a flag. Chris Boyd, a little too much contact with Sims.
Yeah, here's one of the fun matchups to follow here. You see him on the outside of your screen. Chris Boyd.
Pass interference. Defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty and an automatic. First down.
Yeah, Chris Boyd drawing Steven Sims Jr. today since Holton Hill has been suspended for the remainder of the season. And one thing when you study his game, Chris Boyd, he gets a little anxious at the point of attack. He can be a little bit handsy. That time there, if he doesn't panic, keeps his hands off the wide receivers, I think the officials let that play.
And that would have been Holton Hill drawing Sims. He is the biggest threat for this Kansas offense. Hager, the edge rush, over the middle to Johnson. Johnson is at the 5, and the Jayhawks are striking back. 20 yards from Stanley to Johnson. Quick throw to Sims. Sims has a block, extending for the end zone, and the Jayhawks are on the board. What a response. And it was all started with a gutsy run from Carter Stanley on 3rd down.
Absolutely. And that's where he separates his game. And here's how this offensive scheme helps him. The pace of play. That time there, the defense for Texas still trying to find their bearings at the snap of the ball. And he goes right to the matchup outside, picks up an excellent block on the inside from Tyler Patrick. And Sims with a wonderful effort on the end of this play to stretch it over the goal line. And Kansas gets on the board for the first time tonight.
So you talk about building a little confidence. Kansas doing that on the board, and it's a ball game. It's 14-7 Texas, but big swing of momentum for the Kansas offense. Right, there's clearly 3 top defenses in the Big 12. It's Iowa State, TCU, and Texas.
Yeah.
Doug Meacham and his offense shut out against Iowa State and TCU. So this is huge against one of those top 3 Ds to get something on the board.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the confidence that you saw Carter Stanley gain from that last drive, utilizing his feet, a big play over the middle to his tight end, Ben Johnson, and then last but not least, the quick screen to Sims, which is in his control. That's him calling those plays at the line of scrimmage. Excellent job by Carter Stanley.
Boyd will return. Boyd's got some room, slips a tackle. He's up to the 40. .35 on the return for Chris Boyd.
It's a great return from the corner, showing that he can do a little bit of work too offensively, trying to make up for that touchdown he just gave up to Sims on the previous play.
So the Texas offense back at it. Zach Shackelford will now take over at center. He's missed the previous 2 games with a concussion. Terrell Cooney has started in his place and started this game. Back to Daniel Young. Good junk on first down.
And if you're just now joining us, Chris Warren is lining up at the H-back position, and that time they're really latching on. Done a nice job of pulling across, opening up a small crease there for Daniel Young. And Tom Herman told us yesterday, these 2 young running backs, Tennille Carter and Daniel Young, have earned the right at this place to now be the top options at the running back spot.
And they're just grounding and pounding with Daniel Young. Shaquille Richmond and Keith Loneker Jr. there. But it's just shy of the change. It's going to bring up a 3rd and very short. Warren, the lead blocker, follow the path. Daniel Young does, and it's a first down. So Chris Warren getting his nose right into it.
Yeah, I like this. You know, and he's got the size and the girth to really be a force here at 6'4", 250 pounds. And they said he can block extremely well in pass protection, but he's also has some good hands. I think this is a good fit for Chris Warren.
Another good block by Kendall Moore. Daniel Young slips 1 tackle, and he's inside the 25.
And this is something when you watch this Texas team that you have not seen a lot of. Breaking initial contact, number 1. Not a lot of arm tackles here. You see that first man is going to miss. You go back and you look at the great running backs to have done it here at the University of Texas. That's what they did well, make the first guy miss.
Tennille Carter now checks in the game and immediately gets the carry. Little shake and bake. This is what Carter does. The moves, the end zone, and it's 21-7. And Ahmad, what we just saw is what Coach Herman stressed, the difference between Young. He breaks tackles, Carter slips tackles.
Oh, man, just watch how smooth he is. This is excellent footwork here to set up defenders all over the field. The first one was Tyrone Miller, the safety, and then the finishing effort there. But he's got a nice wiggle. He's not fast. He's more shifty than fast, but he's a player that if you're caught slipping on the back end with a little bit of open space, boy, can he make you miss.
The running game wasn't cooking in the drive before this, but they go right back to it. And it pays off. 23 yards and in for Tennille Carter.
And these young running backs are gaining more and more confidence. And Tom Herman said it yesterday. We've just got to get them reps. At this point, we realize they're young, but the more that they can gain this type of confidence and experience, boy, does it help them down the stretch. But if you're a young player, you've got to take advantage of these reps. And early on in this ball game, both Daniel Young and Tennille Carter are doing the most with the reps they've been given.
Hey, and hats off for Chris Warren III as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's got to be somewhat of a difficult move, too. You go from the guy that most people thought would follow in the lines of Deontay Foreman, at least get 1,000 this year. Now he's the lead blocker for 2 true freshman running backs.
Yeah, that's a great point. And as a former starter, I lost my job in 2000 to an All-American in Rod Babers and Nathan Vasher. And then I moved to safety, and I know what that's like. You've got to have a lot of humility. You've got to come out here and really focus on working hard and learning a different position. That series there looked like Chris Warren has found a spot that is working for him.
6'4", 250. Herman says he can bend, he can move. What do you do with him? And the answer is apparently move him H-back, tight end. His pops was a standout in the NFL. And this man, 6 touchdowns in his first 6 games. I mean, Chris Warren III was the lead back for all intents and purposes. And it hasn't gone the way that they thought it would go with the rush game. There's been injuries on the offensive line. Warren was never able to get it going. And they found the spark with Carter and Young at running back. Trying to work some space here to Jeremiah Booker. Let's catch up with Chris Button on the KU offense.
Team that you have to trust the plan. When you do, look what happens. Beatty told me before the game that when things start to slip away, it's because his players doubt the plan, and that he told his team pregame, we don't talk about the possibilities because we beat Texas. We talk about if you do the plan, we will win.
Sims in space, open field. Boyd makes the tackle. And he said about rebuilding this Kansas program, it's going to take time. It's not an event. It's a process. But that's a hang-your-hat moment. Beating Texas a season ago.
And these third and medium situations, look out for Breckenhager, who really likes to get involved in plays like this where he can pin his ears back and really get after the quarterback.
Picked off. Jason Hall to the 10. And how about this? The 2 guys that have had to fight for playing time and a loaded secondary get their moment and take advantage. First Antoine Davis and then Jason Hall.
And these 2 interceptions are very similar. Watch the angle he takes. He runs right through the initial slant route, knowing that that's just the bait. And if you're a good hash defender, you know you've got to run through that and react to everything up front, especially considering the down and distance. Jason Hall making a veteran move, sliding right under that Stanley pass for the second takeaway of the day for the Texas Longhorns.
That's what Todd Orlando says. Get us to a 3rd down where you got to drop back and throw the ball, and we feel great about our chances. Sam Ehlinger now checks in at quarterback for the first time since the Oklahoma State game.
And I really like using him inside of the red zone. When you think of Ehlinger down here, think of Tim Tebow from Florida, being able to utilize his feet and his power to make things happen.
He'll throw to John Burt. And a nice open field tackle made by Bryce Tornado. Ehlinger for the year, 55.7%, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His bread and butter has been rumbling with the football. And look at that, rides it with Daniil Carter, and then finds the freshman Cade Brewer. Second career touchdown for young Cade Brewer out of Lake Travis. That's Westlake to Lake Travis, bringing 2 rivals together.
I'll tell you what it's also bringing. The defense here was just duped by the running ability of both Daniil Carter and Sam Ehlinger. That's what happens when you have a dual threat quarterback playing in the red zone. And it was a great release there from Cade Brewer, who I think is going to be a special player around here. One of my favorite players in this incoming class. He's a big, strong target, a little more developed right now as a pass catcher, still learning how to develop as a blocker. At times, is still a little thin and struggles with bigger and larger defenders, but this is something he does extremely well. Cade Brewer finding the end zone. And that's got to give you some great confidence. You see the all-22 here. This is what the run-pass option. So Sam Ehlinger here has the option. He can hand it off to Daniil Carter. He can run. But what he sees is that defense caving in on the play because of the running threat. And now you have a perfect opportunity to find your tight end over the top of the defense with nobody occupying the middle of the field. Great execution, great play call, and great usage of personnel down here in the red zone from Tim Beck.
How about this? We showed you the graphic, 28 points in the first quarter, highest scoring first quarter all season. They had 28 points in the first quarter all year coming into this game. One of the worst scoring teams in the first quarter in all of college football. Well, Ahmad, the Texas defense, they've really been the group setting the tone.
I said a ferocious style earlier, and you'll see it here. I mean, here's this time Chris Boyd coming up with the near safety. They come back. This is just an excellent drop here from Antoine Davis. Slides right into the underneath route and then finishes off the play. Texas tied for the most non-offensive touchdowns. But look at the physical nature. Elliott with the big blow. Hall coming through with another great drop and a run after the catch. This defense is locked in. They're firing on all cylinders, and they are leading the way for this Texas team.
That's Todd Orlando's sack face. He apparently makes it anytime he's just intense and in the ball game. Herbert, forward-given chase and another big thump by Gary Johnson.
And I've got to say, number 33, Gary Johnson, another injured Jayhawk down on the field.
They are checking out Chris Hughes. That is the younger brother of Nashon Hughes. A redshirt freshman from Harker Heights. His older brothers, Nashon Hughes, still playing for the University of Texas. Cameron Hughes started his career at UT as well. Solid game for Taylor Martin. And it's going to set up a third down. 4 yards for the Jayhawks offense to go.
And I've only seen Texas one time today run more than a four-man pressure in these types of situations. They've been dropping numbers back and really clouding those passing windows for Stanley.
Sims working off the block, but Chris Boyd gets him. But that's after the fact, because Sims will convert. First successful third down conversion for the Jayhawks.
And that's what Sims is good at. He's got great wiggle, tremendous lateral movement, and good burst and acceleration. And if you can get him in space, he can certainly make plays for this offense.
And the broken tackle, Evan Fairs. And it's back-to-back first downs for the KU offense. So take away those turnovers. The Jayhawks have had their moments moving the rock. Over the middle, another strike from Carter Stanley. Back to Fairs. Texas trying to keep up with the tempo. Flag on the play. And incomplete on the sideline.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's 12 men on the field. It didn't appear as though the defender for Texas got off the field. That's what I would expect for the officiating crew to call here.
And that's where tempo gets you.
Indeed.
Illegal substitution. Defense, 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So if the offense makes a change, the snap is held up. But that was not what was happening in that situation. And Texas could not get that substitution in time. To Shadler. Looking for the edge. He gets it. Boyd forces him out. And the Jayhawks with something cooking here offensively.
And tackling an open space for this secondary and winning this matchup of the skilled players on the perimeter is very important, especially considering the way Kansas likes to use their screens.
28 points for the Longhorns in the first quarter all season long coming into this matchup against the Kansas Jayhawks. And after one Rise football team photo, and you will see two self-proclaimed smart, good-looking dudes. Tom Herman, the OC, David Beatty, his receivers coach. Beatty told us, we said this earlier, that he's smarter than Herman. Although he then added, Herman's got a Mensa card, and he only has a library card. Martin trying to bust it out outside. Garrett Johnson with the tackle. For more on that relationship, here's Chris.
Well, when the two first met, they went in for a hug, and Beatty was telling him that Herman then pulled him in, kissed him on the cheek, and said, "I love you, man." Beatty's like, "Who is this guy?" Which then makes this story so much better. When they went in for the hug this morning, he goes in, "Oh no, don't give me the handshake, bro, I want a hug."
Martin with the first down. Hall with the tackle. That's how Ahmad and I greet each other every day on game day. First and goal for the Jayhawks. And a tackle for loss. Who else but Poona Ford?
Yeah, Poona Ford, despite not getting the attention that he sometimes deserved, has just been a staple. And he plays with wonderful technique. You saw him there getting skinny. Despite being 6 foot, 305 pounds, he just slides through that crease.
And this is where the Texas defense takes a ton of pride. Red zone. 10th nationally in red zone touchdown percentage. Stanley will keep. Boyd closes the gap. And good read, good adjustment. There was a lot of green for Stanley to run to.
Now, I can't brag enough on Chris Boyd's tackling ability. And it's not a guy that's going to throw a wing or an arm out there. Now can he stand up in this 3rd and goal situation where he's covering the top wide receiver.
Lofting it over the middle, the outstretched hands, hauling it in. Earl Bostic, listed as an offensive lineman. There's a little wrinkle for you. And Doug Meacham smiles.
That pace once again winning for him, the rhythm ball. You know, Texas defense was still trying. It appears as though they may review this one.
The review.
And that's indeed what we're looking at. Let's see what they're going to check out. That's going to be a close one. Initially, there was the bobble.
I don't see enough there to overturn that. And, you know, I think Kansas is going to have this catch here. But what about the throw from Stanley in between 3 Texas defenders? Not something you expect to happen here. Just couldn't jar the ball loose. The 2 Texas defenders running into each other.
Was the defense set for the snap there?
Yeah, well, they were still moving around and still trying to communicate at the snap of the ball. And that's the 2nd time we've seen that happen. On the first score for Kansas, when Steven Sims Jr. scored on a screen, they were still trying to set up. But that's what this pace does. And oftentimes you're not expecting a team on 3rd down to really get into that type of tempo lull, because they usually are trying to find the right and proper look to get in to attack the defense. But Kansas is showing right now they figured out a way to get Texas on their heels, and it's been working for them now. I don't see any reason for them to change it moving forward.
And Stanley has made some mistakes, but he also took a vicious hit to the midsection, and he has come back firing some BBs.
After further review, the run on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
And there you have it. first career touchdown catch for Bostic. And it's 28-14. Jayhawks ain't going anywhere. They were down a year ago, came back to get the win against the Longhorns. Some confidence brewing here in Austin. Doug Meacham lights it.
Touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. So good!
So good!
Make your commute a little sweeter in the newly redesigned Hyundai Sonata, our best Sonata ever.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you the ultimate fan experience with Longhorn legends Aaron and Sonia Richards-Ross. Register free at datewiththegreat.com to win an experience for you and your friends, including photos, autographs, and more. Date with the Great is exclusively brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
There's the touchdown connection. Bostic on the left, Stanley on the right. The offensive coordinator just walking off the screen. Doug Meacham, and look at that. Some air guitar on the left-hand portion of the screen. That's a Kansas team that's starting to feel good. 28-14. Longhorns with the lead here early in the second quarter in Austin, Texas. Boyd, one step from the end zone. Fumble! The ball is coughed up. Boyd loses the handle, and the Jayhawks have it. Kerr Johnson Jr. with the recovery. What a turn of events.
Boyd here trying to fight for some extra yardage.
And that ball is out.
Absolutely. This is Kansas Jayhawk football, and wow, the momentum is certainly right now in the favor of the Jayhawks. You get a big takeaway from your special teams unit, and now you bring this hot offense back out on the field that has really been able to gain yardage, move the chains with tempo and timing versus this Texas defense.
Kyron Johnson. Huge play on special teams. And Kansas is cooking from the Texas 25. Tyler Patrick in motion. Stanley. Incomplete. That touchdown drive, Stanley was 5 for 5, 45 yards. And a sneaky look for a touchdown.
And you look at those two turnovers for Texas, one leading the points. Had it not been for that scoring drive from the Texas defense and the takeaway turning into 6 points, this game would be a lot closer.
Stanley in zone, almost picked off. Elliott had a chance, Boyd had a chance, and it's just an eventful incompletion.
This was a poor pass from Stanley, and it should have been the third interception for him on the night. The Texas DBs batting it around, still not managing to come up with it. Elliott trying to high point the ball, and Kareem's right off of his hands, and Boyd just not ready. Now you got a 3rd and long situation. Texas appearing here that they may be bringing the blitz.
Stanley makes a move, and a big hit from behind as Malcolm Roach is there with the contact. Stanley saying, hey, good shot, but I'm still rolling.
But he got popped. Malcolm Roach doing a good job of folding and coming back underneath. And the quarterback there doing a little bit too much dancing when you've got guys like Malcolm Roach lurking at 6'4", 270 pounds from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Gabriel Rui. And it's good. He's now 14 of 16 for the season. Special teams turnover leading to 3 for Kansas. It's 28-17.
Texas football on Longhorn Network, presented by Target, is brought to you by Whataburger, the new chorizo burger, stacked high with bold flavor and available for a limited time only.
Coming up on Veterans Day, on behalf of our entire crew here at Longhorn Network, our heartfelt thank you to everyone that has put their life on the line to keep us safe and keep us doing what we do back here at home. And that is to worry about the stuff that's far less important, like a game of football here in Austin, Texas.
Well said, my friend.
Kyle Porter back to receive. Gets a block from little Jordan Humphrey and is brought down a couple of steps ahead of the 20. Chris, as you know, this Texas staff also pays a lot of honor to the military.
Certainly, Craig Nyvar, their Longhorn special team coordinator, is a huge military buff. So to inspire his players and get them to learn more about the history of our armed forces, he's given each unit on the special teams a military-themed nickname. Here they are. Cobra Strike is the kickoff unit, named after Operation Cobra from World War II. Punt unit dubbed the A-Team. The return unit is called Posse. The 6 is named for the kickoff return in honor of SEAL Team 6. And Sniper is the name given to the field goal team because you had to have precision. And then all of these are also in honor of a military hero who has relations to the University of Texas.
Chris, thank you so much. Bouchel dropping back. Feeling the rush, going back to the other side of the field, complete to his best friend, Kyle Johnson. And we got a flag. Bouchel took a shot, and you can see he's a little wobbly getting up.
Roughing the passer. Defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play. First down.
That is the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, Dorrance Armstrong.
And this is just great execution here from Shane Bouchel. And that's a big-time hit. But this play was designed to find the crosser, Colin Johnson, on the backside, but he saw the pressure, and the play really hadn't opened up quite yet. So Bouchel bought some time, came back to Colin Johnson for a first down pickup. Nice usage of his feet there from Bouchel.
The previous play is under further review.
Now, it just jumps to mind here after seeing that play once again in replay. Are they going to look and see if this was potentially targeting on Dorrance Armstrong? I mean,
Crown of the helmet is certainly underneath his face mask, as you're hearing some of the crowd react to the hit there on the big screen. And, you know, here's the thing, when you start to look at this, and I wish this is something they would adjust. I'm not sure if that was a malicious hit, but at 6'1", 205, Dorrance Armstrong is 6'4", 246, right? So you've got to change your strike point. And this is an issue all across America. It's not just happening here. I'm not saying that this play shouldn't be taken out of football, but I think you've got to consider when you've got a taller defender taking on a smaller offensive player. And this would be a major blow for the Jayhawks if Dorrance Armstrong is off the field. And I don't envy the officials here, because I think it's a play that you should review. And right now, the instant replay officials have a tough call to make.
Armstrong made a name for himself in this matchup last season. 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. And that was probably the game that spurred most of the hype for him in the preseason, which eventually got him named the Big 12 preseason Defensive Player of the Year. Hasn't been the type of season he wanted in terms of the numbers, but still is a presence on that defensive line for KU. Just 1 sack. But if you talk to their coaching staff, and we talked to Clint Bowen, the DC, he says this is the example for their defense on how you make yourself into somebody.
And part of that is teams are game planning against him, and they're sliding protection to Armstrong because of how disruptive he can be at times. So it's respect But as a star player, you've got to find other ways to impact the ball game. And you like to see those sack totals get up, those second effort plays, and certainly these silly mistakes like a late hit on the quarterback that may result in you being tossed out of this game. You'd like to see him eliminate those from his game.
Now, you didn't think it was malicious.
No, not at all.
But the timing of that hit, I mean,
well, it's late. And, you know, and that's my point. I think that doesn't help his cause here.
And anytime you see a Texas quarterback take a hit this season, and unfortunately with the O-line play, there's been a lot of hits, you hold your breath. That was the case with Sam Ehlinger. Hit his head hard against Oklahoma, finished that game in overtime against Oklahoma State. He was trying to make a play, hit his head hard on the sideline. It was announced after that game he had a concussion. He missed some time and had the inner ear difficulty, which held him out of last week's game. And for Buechele, he's had some issues as well, trying to stay upright, stay healthy. Shoulder injury against Maryland. Also tweaked his ankle against Iowa State. And here we go.
After further review, there is no confirmed targeting. The roughing the passer will be enforced, 15-yard penalty.
You okay with that?
I like this call, and this is something that I have championed all across the country in various stadiums. When I see these calls made, to me it's an unfortunate situation. You want to eliminate the helmet to helmet. I get that, but you've also got to take into account that some of these guys are 4 and 5 inches taller than another player, and so I think this was the right call by the officials, and I think they got this one right.
Chris Warren, H-back. Daniel Young, tailback. Quick pass to John Burt, who slides out of bounds.
Yeah, Buechele really excels when he's throwing those quick throws, you know, dating back to his baseball days, and the ability to really get the ball out of his hand like a hot potato, showing there his quick release and efficiency.
This is more along the lines of what we see, 4 for 4, typically from Buechele. He was sub 50% against TCU. Burt looking for a block. He's got one, showing the wheels, and he is dragged down by Tyrone Miller. He was holding on for everything.
I don't blame him. This guy has world-class speed, and this was set up well. Excellent block there in the slot to really pop this play open.
Colin Johnson. And hold it right there. False start.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
And that's on the offensive tackle, Tristan Nicholson. Well, you mentioned that block from Colin Johnson. I mean, he is the guy that certainly has the size and the frame to do that. Does he want to do it consistently?
Well, you just said it. You know, the part of his game that you really like to see develop. I mean, this kid has so much talent. You want to see the physicality and the desire to win balls and one-on-one matchups and be a terror for defenses all over the country.
Looking for Johnson. Some hand fighting. It falls incomplete. Kyle Mayberry with some tough and tight defense. And that guy brought an inflatable sword to the game. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, I definitely think this is great coverage here, but this is what I mean from Colin Johnson. When you're 6'6", taking on a smaller defender, the desire there has to be great. And this is the play that when talking to Tim Beck and in our conversation yesterday, they said, we want to take more shots down the field and take advantage of one-on-one opportunities. Colin Johnson has to gain the confidence of his quarterback.
Buechele rolling. Throwing on the run, off the hands of Burt and incomplete. Defense, Hassan defense, bowing up.
It's a nice job of finishing the play and separating the wide receiver from the ball. But if you're Burt and anything touches your hands, you've got to haul that in.
All right, how do you, go ahead.
And we've seen that. Sometimes he's had the occasional dropsies. A young man that can be open and will flat out miss a ball, and now you've got a 3rd and long situation. You better hope protection holds up, which will allow you to get those deep developing routes to convert here.
Because you've had shaky kicking. 3rd and 15. Little Jordan Humphrey trying for the one-handed catch, and here you go, right? It's 4th down. It's a longer field goal attempt, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to bring in Michael Dixon to hold, and here he comes. It's an opportunity for Mitchell Becker to go 3 for 3 in his career. Has not attempted a field goal since a year ago. 44 yards. This was the distance we were not sure if Tom Herman would elect to kick from. And Becker misses wide left. So new kicker, same issues. An empty possession for the Longhorns. KU sticking around. It's been an issue all season long, the kicking game for the Texas Longhorns. Joshua Rowland entered as the 2nd-ranked JUCO kicker in America, but had his issues. 7 of 14. And multiple times, Tom Herman said that they would look at Mitchell Becker finally making that move. But Becker lines up for a 44-yarder, wide left. Issues continue. And there's this specialist, one of the best in America on the right side with Michael Dixon. He can punt the football as Stanley is pressured. And there's an incomplete pass. Breckenhager with the hurry. The issue is they can't kick it through the uprights.
That unit has zero confidence right now. And there's no other way to put it, no other way to say it. And unfortunately for Texas, when you need those points, you just can't rely on them. It affects the way you call plays. It affects the way you coach if you're Tom Herman.
Stanley to Johnson, that pops in and out. Chris, what did you see?
Well, I watched Becker all pregame, and he was nearly perfect. And Tom Herman said, this is the issue. They practice great, just come game time. I don't know what happened, so it's hard to really coach them. He did say, I know not to yell now.
Well, that's good. And it's not just 3 points here and there. It's affected offensive play calling all season long as well. 3rd and 10. Good protection for Stanley. And in and out of the hands of Evan Fairs.
This was a poorly thrown pass from Carter Stanley. And the backup, Peyton Bender, is the better passer of the two. Not great mechanics there. He had enough protection. The offensive line did a good job of keeping the pocket clean with a 4-man rush. And despite that, having an open target, couldn't connect. And this Texas defense 3 and out.
Hill Maps. It slips by him. Duvernay thinks somebody touched it and hustles to get that football. And potentially disaster avoided. Well, we got a reminder. You got to download the ESPN app to check out the Longhorn Bands, the showman of the Southwest, their halftime performance. Watch it live on ESPN 3 on your second screen. You'll see that at the half, the show band doing their thing. What happened on that play right there?
It appeared as though it might have gone off of Duvernay's back, and maybe he felt that and was like, let me make sure and go recover this football just in case.
Already had one special teams missed cue. Multiple if you consider the missed field goal, but Chris Boyd bringing it out of the end zone. Ended up fumbling. Kansas started great field territory. Ended up with a field goal off it.
And this offense has to find their magic again that they had in the first quarter. A fumble, a missed field goal opportunity in their last 2 drives. Can they get back to their scoring ways?
Carter breaks an arm tackle, but there is a flag down. And it could be a hold. It will be.
Holding. Offense, number 75. Half the distance to the goal. Replay, first down.
So that offense really has gone flat since Ellinger came in and found Cade Brewer for the touchdown to make it 28-7. There's Chris Warren, H-back to Lorenzo Joe. He opened up the game with a touchdown. And following the blocking of Dorian Leonard.
Just man-to-man coverage on the outside, and that is when Shane Buechele has an opportunity to throw the ball out into the flat on the quick screen game to try to pick up yardage. Decent yardage on first down despite the penalty.
Another quick pass. Lorenzo Joe for the second straight play. He is brought down. Nice hit from Tornado.
He was flying. Bryce Tornado coming with a flat angle, laying the boom on Lorenzo Joe, who's struggling to get up. A little slow to
hits,
get off the field. Absolutely.
Tornado, Jason Hall, Deshaun Elliott, one of the most thunderous hits we've seen all year. 3rd and 9. Texas has lost that rhythm offensively. Can they find it? Buechele slips one tackle, runs into Nicholson. He's going to try to make it on his own, and he's going to be short. Texas will have to punt.
Here's been the problem for Texas. I mean, they went max protect here, trying to take a shot downfield, and a guy still gets home base. When you have more blockers than rushers and you can't keep your quarterback clean, that right there is exactly the problem that this Texas offense has had all season long in those types of situations. That has nothing to do with play calling. That has everything to do with the players.
That was Dorrance Armstrong finding his way into the backfield. Dixon has to hustle to get this one away. There was contact, no flag, but a fumble. It's still on the ground. Antoine Davis does it again.
Wow. The MVP this far for me, you know what I'm going to say, is the punter, Michael Dixon. And I had the audacity to try to go out and catch a few punts earlier in the week. And I tell you what, the way the nose comes down, the hang time in which he has, this young man is a tremendous weapon for this offense. And great coverage there from this particular unit to get downfield. And these are the types of plays that really can help this offense get their momentum back. Now you've got a short field. You're within striking distance, just outside of the red zone. Can you capitalize on that takeaway and get in the end zone?
Third turnover by Kansas. Antoine Davis has had his hands on 2 of them. The pick 6 and recovering that muff punt. From the 22. Kyle Porter leaping forward. And it's a good gain on first down. Quick pass to Johnson. He didn't see it. Johnson did not swivel his head in time.
Yeah, great awareness by Buechele. He saw the blitz coming. He read it well. And that's something where if you're Colin Johnson, you see that safety sneaking down. That's a red alert. You've got to know that the ball is going to get out of the hand of the quarterback extremely quickly. So you've got to make sure you're ready for the football. Missed opportunity there for Texas.
Shaquille Richmond with the pressure. Sets up a 3rd and 6. Buechele keeps. Stutters. Reverses field. And he's going to be brought down shy of the first down marker. So what do you do right here? What do you do right here on this 4th down?
Well, I mean, you don't have any confidence right now in that unit, so I think you keep your offense out on the field, which is exactly what it appears as though Tom Herman and this Texas team is doing now. And this is a doable distance, right? You know, you can run the football. I would have liked to have seen perhaps maybe one of those young running backs in at this particular time of personnel, but they opt for something else.
They opt for Buechele to keep putting his shoulder down. And that's going to be a first down carry for Shane Buechele.
Yeah, just quarterback power to your left. And Buechele doing a nice job of utilizing his vision and getting inside of this crease. But you see it. That job there, good job from Tristan Nicholson along with Patrick Vahey to really seal off of the defensive line. And now you provide a crease for Buechele. So they convert there. That was big for this offense, especially in keeping the momentum and gaining confidence.
Porter off the gut, not much doing. Deneen with the tackle.
Yeah, I love Deneen. Like watching this guy on film, and he stands out. When you watch this KU Jayhawks defense, he is all over the field. Sideline to sideline, plays with great charge and energy, and puts ball carriers down on initial contact.
Leading tackler in the Big 12. Buechele eluding pressure. And Kansas getting after it defensively. Deneen and Loneker forcing a third down.
Listen, this is the second time I've seen it where you go max protect and there are leaks and holes in your protection.
Yeah.
And if you're Texas, Tim Beck told us yesterday, he said, we're going to do a lot of max protect. We're trying to help this developing offensive line, but those are demoralizing when you keep in that many guys and only have a few guys out on routes and you can't protect.
Third down for the red zone. Wide open, little Jordan Humphrey, but a good tackle. That's going to be shy on the first down as Loneker is there with a big thud on Humphrey.
Yeah, I'd go for it again here on this fourth down, and it appears as Texas is doing that again. Little Jordan Humphrey in the Wildcat.
Direct snap to Humphrey. Lowered his shoulder to the doorstep of the end zone. It does the trick, though. Texas now 3 for 3 on fourth down.
He did a lot of this in high school.
He was a running back.
Absolutely.
And he'll stay out of the shotgun. Humphrey will keep. Kyle Porter stealing the edge. Humphrey is in.
And I'll admit, I was down on the way they were using personnel, especially with Tennille Carter and Daniel Young, the way that they were running. But Tim Beck just made an excellent adjustment, bringing in little Jordan Humphrey, who is very familiar with playing in that role. Did a lot of that up north at a prestigious program, South Lake Carroll. Did a lot of things for that program, and now showing that he can do that in and around the red zone. Excellent usage of personnel. Great blocking up front and excellent determination there from little Jordan Humphrey.
At the break, got to stay with us because Texas Game Day is almost ready to go. Alex Loeb, Ricky Williams, Corey Redding, and Sam Acho's little brother. All on set, getting ready to go.
I love it.
Look at Manny Acho. Is he wearing a carpet sample?
I tell you, Corey Redding has been a great addition to that crew, and always love listening to Ricky Williams. So profound.
No, he's not. He just wants you to believe he is.
Love that guy.
He's amazing. I'm just a little bitter because he took one of my ties in week 3 and has not returned it. Come on, Ricky, you're better than that. Well, Ricky would refer to this game, and you know it, it's a stat game, especially back in the day for Ricky Williams. And the number I associate him with, number 11, junior year, 97. I mean, come on. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. 211 yards, 3 touchdowns for Ricky Williams.
He's so smooth. I mean, for a guy to be that big, strong, and fast, I mean, I had the privilege of watching him win the Heisman my freshman year, and special player.
There he is.
It was always
he knows
fun
we're talking about him. You know it, Ricky.
Backs.
Yeah, you do.
But
hey,
boy.
strike the pose, Ricky. Let me see the
Heck of a football player. $35-17. Just under 5 minutes left
Stanley trying to run away from pressure. He breaks out of one tackle and falling backwards as Chris Nelson got there. Made things a little dicey in that backfield. First sack for the Texas defense. Malcolm Roach officially with credit for that sack. Stanley rolling. Sims wisely steps out, but sets up Kansas in a third and manageable.
That time, Antoine Davis lost sight of the wide receiver to his left. And anytime the quarterback rolls out, you've got to roll with him. Move in the direction he's going, because the wide receivers are certainly doing that behind you. And that's how you stop those plays when the quarterback's on the loose. The third and short here. They went to this empty look. Carter Stanley can run the football. A perfect opportunity to run quarterback draw or some quick routes on the outside.
And it's going to be the draw. Looking for a hole. Does not find one, but finds enough vacancy for the first down.
And that is what Carter Stanley brings to this team that Peyton Bender, who started earlier in the season, does not bring. The ability to make defenses pay with his feet and to pick up those types of yards goes a long way in helping your offense be successful.
Malik and Gary Johnson sneaking towards the line. Wide open receiver, and Sims again trying to make a move. Antoine Davis and Chris Boyd there for the tackle. But a good gain from Sims. That's the guy that this Texas defense, they really keyed in on. How do we slow him down? Stanley falling forward. It's going to be right on the marker.
It's the second funky formation that I've seen from Kansas today. They brought their right tackle, all the way outside the numbers. The score that they had with their tight end was an imbalanced look where it looked like the left tackle was eligible. Kansas and Doug Meacham trying to mix it up and confuse this Texas defense.
A lot of big bodies on the line here. The handoff. And Herbert, not too much room to run. Hager with the tackle. So Kansas now slowing it down a little bit compared to the tempo that we've seen earlier in this game.
Yeah, if you're Texas defense, what you want to do right here is make Carter Stanley beat you with his arm. The weaker part of his game is passing. As you enter the 2-minute here, make this young man beat you with his arm.
Right at 2 minutes. Hager came barreling into the backfield.
That's a prime example. He skips the ball out there to the flat.
Hager's just a wild man when you let him loose. I mean, you see hair flying, arms, legs. 3rd and 7. Hager will take a breather. And Menahue, Hughes, and Ford, the defensive line. Stanley from the empty. Looking for Fairs, the adjustment, and Fairs hauls it in. Unreal catch by the sophomore from the state of Texas.
Yeah, Devontae Davis didn't get anything on the wide receiver at the snap of the ball in press coverage, and you could see Carter knowing that that was the matchup he was looking for.
Another BB to Fairs. Kansas picks it up, and the drive is now into the red zone.
Yeah, Texas defense has to bowl their back here and hold them to a field goal, because a touchdown here would really give Kansas some confidence going into halftime.
Kansas 3 for 3 in the red zone. Earl Bostic checks back into the game. It's number 87 down in the 3-point stance, bottom of the line. Stanley looking the other way, floats it up, looking for Harrell. And Boyd on the coverage.
Yeah, this coaching staff has done a good job with Chris Boyd. You know, they've tracked him around with a camera the last several weeks in practice, and I think that's been the difference in his game. This young man has had poor eyes at times and been susceptible to double moves, big plays because of that. And that time there, kept his eyes in the proper spot, great body position, big play in the red zone for Boyd.
2nd and goal. Stanley feeling the pressure. Roach slips off him. Good hands from Johnson. And they're going to say incomplete. At the end of the sequence, Deshaun Elliott is able to force it out of the hands of Ben Johnson.
Elliott did not give up on this play. It's over the top of Johnson. Watch the fight here that takes place. Great job with that right hand coming in behind, poking that ball out. Elliott and Boyd making plays down here. Can they do it one more time for this defense to force this Jayhawks team to a field goal?
The previous play of an incomplete pass is under further review.
So I'm thinking here perhaps they rule it's a complete pass and a fumble.
I think he might have a case here for a catch. We've got a camera angle on the backside where you can actually see him tuck that ball away. And then that last effort is what poked the ball out. But it appears right here, great camera angle from our crew. He tucked right there. And I would say that's possession. And then here's where he pokes the ball out. I think that's a catch and a fumble.
That would move it up a couple of yards. Everything counts, though, against this Texas defense. It's an athletic target there for Stanley to work with. Still a heads-up play, though, for Elliott to keep fighting and force that one free.
Yeah, man, and that's what's made him so good this year. His determination. You went back last year, and at times this kid was just disengaged with the game. Times he looked like he was sleepwalking and going through the motions. And Elliott's been a completely different player. The mindset in which he comes out in between the hedges has been completely different this year, and it's resulting in him making plays, but also being a leader on this defense and being a guy that the rest of these guys can follow.
Regardless, here you're looking at a 3rd down. If you're Kansas, you approach this like it's 4-down territory with the score the way it is right now?
That's a great question. And, you know, if I'm them with the deficit you're down now, maybe you do. But I also think if you can get this game within 15 points, as which they would, you know, that's a 2-score ball game. And who knows what will happen, because this offense for Texas doesn't look the same as they did in the first half.
Yeah.
Or the first quarter, pardon me.
The first play.
Yeah, pretty much. So, you know, and I think even if you look at it, you know, this Texas defense is also accounted for a touchdown tonight. So Kansas offense is, for the most part, in this, especially in the second quarter, is making plays against his defense and moving the ball. If I had to say it, yeah, I'd go for it on 4th down. I think it's the right thing to do if you're trying to keep your team in this ball game.
I'll say this: a lot of the compliments that are paid to Texas in a season like this, 4-5, they're fighting, right? They're fighting in every game they play. If we're going to say that about Texas, also have to tip the cap for the fight right now from the 1-8 Kansas Jayhawks. They've been through a lot. And there have been moments in this game, first play of the game, Bouchel to Lorenzo Joe. It would have been easy to fold it up, pack it up, and see you later. These guys are making it interesting here.
I believe that's a direct reflection of their coach.
After further review, we have a catch. The receiver completed the process of the catch, and the ball was punched out, and it went out of bounds at the 4-yard line. Therefore, it will be 3rd down at the 4. The clock will start on my snap.
So it's a gain of 2 yards now. They move it up from the 6 to the 4. And that is what we thought on the second look. Johnson made the catch. Elliott knocked it loose. The ball goes out at the 4-yard line. So the Texas defense loses 2 yards to stand on this pivotal 3rd down. Jayhawks trying to respond from that touchdown drive, capped by little Jordan Humphrey. Johnson picked off by Antoine Davis.
Oh my goodness. You've got to check out the effort here from Poona Ford. I mean, this was fantastic, and I believe this is the reason why Antoine Davis got his 2nd play of the night. I mean, he just bull rushes the offensive line and abuses the running back, forces him right into the lap of Carter Stanley. Couldn't step into that throw, hung it up a little bit, and Antoine Davis having the game of his life, filling in for P.J. Locke with his 2nd interception of the night. The first one he took back to the house. Texas defense and this team creating takeaways, the 4th of the night for this team. And boy, if you're Texas, that's the type of play you need. You take points off the board for this Kansas team and you gain some momentum going into the halftime.
58 seconds left. We'll see if Texas wants more or they will be content to take that 35-17 lead into the break. Daniel Young breaks 1 tackle. The rest of the Jayhawks defense meets him. Shaquille Richmond, Joe Deneen with the tackle. And these takeaways have led to points. Davis had the pick 6. The Jason Hall interception set up the touchdown pass from Ellinger to Cade Brewer. The Davis fumble recovery off the punt set up the little Jordan Humphrey touchdown run. But Texas will be content to allow this takeaway to not lead to points, as they will let the clock run down. What do you think so far in the first half? Is this along the lines of what you wanted to see from Texas?
Yeah, I think early on in the ball game, what I will say is once again, you've seen an outstanding effort from this defense tonight, creating takeaways and figuring out ways to make stops.
Antoine Davis, best half of football in his college career. Waiting for his opportunity, and he gets it. Only in the lineup because P.J. Locke is out. Had a big hit last week in the loss to TCU. And now a couple of major plays, the latest saving a touchdown. Here's Chris Button.
Coach, how does that interception change the momentum as you guys head into half?
Changes it a lot. You know, we're not playing defense to our potential right now, but we're getting turnovers, which is critical. Obviously, turning one into a touchdown, but we got to play better defense in the second half.
Offensively, you got the rhythm going early on. How do you sustain it?
Well, we got to stay on the field. We got to do better on 3rd down. We converted a couple 4th downs, but it'd be nice not to have to do those and convert them on 3rd.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now time for Texas Game Day at the half. Let's kick it over to the big Lobowski, Alex Loeb.
Well, how about the defense coming up with 4 turnovers, forcing 4 turnovers in a half for the first time in over a decade. Welcome into the halftime show alongside Manny, Corey, Ricky. I am Alex Loeb. Gentlemen, for the defense, you heard Tom Herman say moments ago, he needs them to play better. On a side note, you do have 4 turnovers forced and 3 picks on the night as well. What do we think so far?
Yeah, you know, this is a really dangerous game. I was talking to Ricky before the halftime show about if Texas doesn't force those turnovers, and some of those being gimmies, but if they don't force those turnovers, it's a much closer ball game. They have to put Kansas away. They've let Kansas linger around a lot too long. They have to put Kansas away sooner.
Yeah, coaches always talk about on defense, you got to get off the field on 3rd down. And the reason they say that is when an offense gets in a rhythm, they're hard to stop. This Texas defense has allowed this Kansas team to build confidence and get into a rhythm. The turnovers have been their saving grace, keeping Texas in this game. you know, we know that Texas defense plays better in the second half. They got to make some adjustments, come out and play better.
We talked about that glimmer of hope in the first half. We see it out there now. Tight end catches a touchdown pass. He's on the sideline trying to pump up his guys, right? Hey, we're still in this thing. We can get close. You got to eliminate all of that. Texas have to continue to get those INTs, but stop them. Get the third down, make them punt. Don't give them extra downs.
Antoine Davis, one of just 3 players on the roster who last played on a winning Texas team in Mac Brown's last year. He's got 2 picks and a fumble recovery tonight. We talk about the offense, one of the highest scoring first quarters for them in a long time. What do we make of the half as a whole for that offense?
Well, we have to remember that a lot of those points were set up by the defense. And so for me watching the offense, I'm confused. I'm really confused. So they come out, first play, big play. I love it. They come out the second time they have the ball, they have to punt. The third time, 5 consecutive runs, and they get in the end zone. And then they don't really run the ball until that last series right there. So I'm confused watching this, and I bet the players are just as confused. And it's hard to develop a rhythm as an offense when you have no idea what's going on.
Just like last year, first play of the game for Texas against Kansas is a touchdown pass from Shane Buechele. Much more to come on this halftime show. We'll go through some of the other Big 12 contests taking place tonight and check out some more Texas defense. Antoine Davis with a career night already. One of 4 turnovers forced by this Texas defense.
From Darrell K. Royal, Texas Memorial Stadium, it's the Texas Longhorns against the Kansas Jayhawks.
Buechele wants it all. He's got Lorenzo Joe. Touchdown!
Outstanding first play for the Texas Longhorns.
Pressure coming. Fires up the middle, intercepted. Picked off. Antoine Davis. Say goodnight to it. Touchdown, Texas. Pick 6.
Picked off. Jason Hall.
Carter breaks a tackle. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Texas. Tonio Kerner, welcome back.
Welcome back to Texas football presented by Target. Start of the second half, and Texas with a 35-17 lead, courtesy of their highest scoring first quarter all season long. It's got the guys dancing on the sideline, scoring 28 in the opening frame. Easy, fellas. Easy.
You call that dancing?
Well, for me,
it's like a mosh pit to me.
That's dancing.
It's a little bit better than that, though.
Kansas bringing some juice as well. Hey, they've had their moments, but turnovers, that's been so critical. 4 Kansas turnovers in this game. And that has allowed Texas to turn 3 of those into a combined 21 points. Kansas will receive. And that's out of the end zone for a touchback. Logan Lindo here with Ahmad Brooks, hanging out, talking Texas and Kansas. What's impressed you the most from what you've seen in the Longhorns building this lead in the first half?
I talked about the ferocious playing style of this defense. Once again, attacking, creating those takeaways, even scoring on some of those takeaways. And offensively, you saw them start out really strong in the first quarter. Couldn't find their magic. Can they get back to it when they get their next possession? They're going to need it because Kansas has the confidence that they can fight and win this matchup. So for Texas, they've got to come out strong offensively.
Who would have thought we would be talking about Antoine Davis at the beginning of the season as your impact guy, but he has been the playmaker for this Texas defense. A couple of interceptions, and on special teams as well, recovered a fumble. That's Jason Hall into the backfield quickly.
Great story of patience. You know, when you've got a senior, speaking of another one, Jason Hall, these 2 guys have been through adversity throughout their career. And now you find yourself, if you just stick to the process, as a player that is dependable, reliable, with that experience, and now you're making plays here in the latter part of the season.
Carter Stanley took a big shot from Jason Hall. And it appears as Devontae Davis got there a little early. There's no flag on the play. That's just a guy blowing up a play in the backfield.
Ouch. Watch the jump here. Man, Devontae Davis, and this was one of the plays that Kansas went to a lot, was those quick screens on the perimeter, trying to force these Texas DBs to tackle in space.
3rd and 10.
A check with me play here. Doug Meacham trying to get his team into the best look.
Kansas 4 for 10 on 3rd downs in the first half. Pressure coming. Over the middle to Sims. Sims slips a tackle into Texas territory before Deshaun Elliott and Devontae Davis bring him down. 27 yards from the speedster. And an injured Kansas Jayhawk, Tyler Patrick, is down. Oof. And Patrick gets rolled over.
You hope the young man's all right, and Doug Meacham with another good play call. As there was a cornerback blitz from the side of the field that Sims was on. They run a drag route underneath, forcing the defense to have to defend on a 5-man pressure. And Carter Stanley stands in there. He recognizes it, gets the ball out of his hand quickly.
Tyler Patrick is down. We'll take a moment while he tries to recover.
Head coach of the University of Texas, it is my job to put the players in the best possible position to win.
Join us as Coach reflects on the Horns' latest performance. Rewind with Tom Herman, Monday at 7 on LHN and the ESPN app.
A moment that just makes your heart sink. It's Tyler Patrick, the junior receiver from the Woodlands. Got his leg rolled over, blocking on the perimeter for Steven Sims. We've seen the head coach, David Beatty. He was out there immediately. The offensive coordinator, Doug Meacham, has made his way to console Tyler Patrick. It was not a malicious play. Unfortunately, one of the ugly parts of the game, though. So it's the left leg of Tyler Patrick in an air cast. He will be carted off and evaluated further. He's been active. We've seen number 4 flying around, getting into the mix. And it was a good block that helped spur that 27-yard gain. But unfortunately one that cuts the night short for Tyler Patrick. His running back, Taylor Martin, coming over to console him. How tough is this when you see one of your guys in a situation like Tyler Patrick currently is in?
It affects you, and you've got to have mental focus, and then what you try to do is play in the spirit of the injured player, because, you know, as a teammate, you never want to see an injury, and I'll say this, even as an opponent, you don't want to see these types of injuries. So you've got to reset, regain your mental focus, and come back out and play in the spirit of a guy like Tyler Patrick.
Sets up the Kansas offense in Texas territory at the 49-yard line. As Steven Sims was able to slip free for a 27-yard gain. Johnson checking in place of Tyler Patrick. Dom Williams the carry. About 5 yards on first down. And the Jayhawks will pick up the tempo. Quick pass to Sims. And Sims just short of that first down marker.
Here's where this Texas defense has to do a better job handling the tempo. Here they'll get an opportunity to sub in because Kansas had, but in the first half we saw a number of times where they had faulty communication, where they weren't set at the snap of the ball. And when you're taking on a tempo offense, the first key is alignment, making sure you properly line up so you can execute the defensive call.
The Jayhawks from the diamond formation, something that was started by the former Texas offensive line coach Joe Wickline at Oklahoma State. And there's a stop from the Texas defense. Deshaun Elliott making his way to the Kansas backfield.
Great execution.
And Kansas looks like they will punt this one away. What do you think, Ahmad?
Well, if you're Texas defense, number one, you want to come out in your safe unit. This is the point in the field between the 40s where teams like to fake, especially from this short distance.
Cole Moose boots it. That's going to be well into the end zone for the touchback. Let's check in with our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts, breaking down the first half. The rushing game, Texas gets it back going. Daniel Young, 11 carries, 57 yards. Tennille Carter, also 1 carry for 23, and it was a touchdown. Points off turnovers, though, that's the most significant thing we're looking at here in this game.
Absolutely. And what I'd like to see here in the second half is get those young running backs going again. I thought towards the latter part of the first half, you didn't see as much involvement as Daniel Young's coming out here. I think he's, in order for him to find a good rhythm and to have a dominating performance against a team like Kansas, which has a pretty good run defense, you've got to give him touches and allow him to get into a rhythm.
Yeah, Kansas has some dudes on their D-line. Bouchel throwing on the run, big hit, but it's Lorenzo Joe coming up with the catch. Bouchel took an absolute shot, however. Daniel Wise laid it on him.
That's something that Daniel Wise does a lot of. He is very active. Coaching staff telling us this week that sometimes he's so concerned with rushing the quarterback, he forgets his responsibilities. But that's what he does well.
The previous play is under further review. The one on the field was a completed catch.
So they'll take a look at this. Lorenzo Joe, 19-yard reception. So we'll see if the first offensive touch for Texas in the second half is along the same lines as the way it was in the first. Remember the first play from scrimmage, 49-yard touchdown pass from Bouchel to Joe. That's going to be close. Wow. Is that right foot down while he makes the catch?
Great hand and eye coordination, and we've seen Joe do this a few times this year. Really has great balance and concentration on the sideline and the ability to be able to haul in passes thrown right outside of his reach. And he's a tall, lanky kid. And so when you look at his frame,
and where's he
at
from,
6'3", 215, I shouted out. Now, he actually went to my rival school, Abilene Cooper, but I got mad respect for the way he's hung in the process. And, you know, I know they are proud of him in Abilene for standing by and allowing him to get into his senior year and blossom. And he's the type of player that wouldn't surprise me to see him at the next level make somebody's team, because he's going to work real hard. He's not going to make mistakes. He's going to keep his nose clean off the field. And so it's exciting to see those types of players emerge and get to a point where they can make a difference for their team.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
And there's another catch for Lojo. 4 catches, 78 yards. Not bigger than that 49-yard touchdown to put Texas on the board 7-zip. And Bouchel stays in there after that big hit from Daniel Wise. Daniel Young, his first carry of the second half. Man, he is a load to bring down. There's not much there in terms of yardage, but a lot of white jerseys that had to be in the vicinity to take down Daniel Young.
Can you imagine being a high school player last year trying to tackle this kid?
It flew under the radar.
Stiff arm? Oh, boy.
Flew under the radar.
Man.
Because he was a linebacker until his junior year, and you know the way early recruiting goes. Hey, but a good response here, back-to-back plays from that Kansas defensive line. Mayberry getting in from the secondary. Weiss wants to get involved, and it's going to set up a 3rd and long.
Yeah, Weiss is just so slippery on the inside, and with the interior woes that Texas had trying to protect the quarterback and establish an interior run game, he's taking advantage of them.
Texas only 1 for 7 on 3rd down. This isn't the distance they succeeded. This time, different story. Lorenzo Joe, hands before it hits the turf. Move the chains.
Yeah, you talk about these young freshman running backs. Watch Daniel Young stick his head in here. That's how you pass protect. Allowing Buechele the opportunity to find his target downfield. Any of those deeper developing routes, you need that type of protection. And a great catch there from Lorenzo Joe to reach down low and to bring it in.
Career high 98 yards for Lorenzo Joe. Another carry to Daniel Young. Tough sledding here as Miller and Deneen are there. Talk about running backs. That's Tennille Carter actually on the carry. Deneen started his career as a running back for the Kansas Jayhawks, then moved to safety before eventually settling at linebacker, and he's become a star for this Kansas team. Enters his game leading the Big 12 in tackles, kind of like a Joel Lanning at Iowa State, just finds himself consistently around the football.
Absolutely.
Carter in the backfield, Buechele, a lot of time he's going to keep. And Loneker is there to register the hit.
Once again, the theme here is max protect. Now, when you max protect, there were only 2 routes out for Texas. Little Jordan Humphrey and Lorenzo Joe. If those 2 guys on the edges cannot create separation or get open, it is a dead play. So you're wondering, well, why did Buechele run the ball there? They had everybody in to protect him, and the wide receivers on the outside edge could not get open.
Buechele has now been sacked 10 times since the start of the TCU game last week. 3 of them here by Kansas. Leonard dragging over the middle. And a nice open field thump from Tornado.
Yeah, Bryce, that kid can tackle. We've seen him a few times today throw his body around there. He's reckless. And I love the way he runs through the tackle here. Man, great job of taking away the running ability and chopping down those legs of the taller Dorian Leonard at 6'5", 205 pounds as he hobbles off to the sideline.
Texas trying to make it 4 for 4 on 4th down. Carter motions out of the backfield. Humphrey in traffic, nowhere close. The Kansas defense flexing some muscle.
You run that tunnel screen, what you're anticipating is that the defense is going to bring pressure. That time there, great recognition from the Jayhawks as they get off the field and their offense is back up.
Texas football on Longhorn Network, presented by Target, is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota's tailgate event is on now. Visit buyatoyota.com today.
That is the Veterans Day Parade, a tradition here in Austin, down South Congress Avenue to the footstep of the state capitol. Sims has got the lone touchdown. Or excuse me, 1 of 2 touchdown receptions for the Jayhawks in this game, and that falls incomplete. Let's check in with Chris Budden, who talked with David Beatty at the half.
Coach Beatty telling his team, think of where we'd be if we didn't turn the ball over. Regarding those interceptions, he gave a lot of credit to Todd Orlando. He said that guy's smart, and everything that's happened on those interceptions we haven't seen in film. So they're obviously disguising some schemes. He said the other thing, though, is we just have to play smarter. Though we haven't seen it, sometimes Carter has missed his reads.
3 interceptions in the first half as Malik Jefferson is there, meeting Dom Williams.
And that's a great report there, Chris, when you start talking about the confusion that is created by this Todd Orlando defense. You know, they show you so many different ways that they line up where you don't know where pressure's coming from. You never know who's dropping. And it's that type of confusion that really dictates to the offense.
Once again, they have been the difference in this game. The takeaways setting up the offense in great position that didn't lead directly to a touchdown itself, as in the case of Antoine Davis. 3rd and 10. Deshaun Elliott pushing his way in the backfield. Open receiver. And it's Kerr Johnson Jr. One of the biggest gains of the night for the Jayhawks. 30 yards. And you were talking about Stanley. He stood tall and he's made some good throws.
Yeah, they bring a 4-man rush and perhaps could have done a better job if you're Antoine Davis to carry there, especially when you look around. You've got to find work in zone coverage. That means don't cover grass. Find a man with an opposite color jersey and cover him up.
Second longest game for the Jayhawks. Nothing going there. As Gary Johnson, like a freight train, right at the line of scrimmage.
And I've been impressed with Gary Johnson, watching him on film. And Todd Orlando said he needed to earn the respect of his teammates. He's done that. Anthony Wheeler, who they felt was a little bit bigger and stronger, this guy has the speed to move sideline to sideline. He's got great instincts. And he and Jefferson have done a good job in this package.
Said he's just as fast as week 1, but now he's accountable. Showing some of that speed out of the Kansas backfield is Taylor Martin. Devontae Davis forcing him out. And here we go. The Jayhawks a touchdown away from making this really interesting.
Yeah, and Brandon Jones is still growing at safety. This was him taking a poor angle to the football, and the sophomore from Nacogdoches, Texas, ended up tripping up Gary Johnson as well on the play. You would have preferred him to go to the outside of that block and force it back inside, opting to go inside the block and set up the edge there for the running back.
Kansas out of the pistol. Back to Martin, who reverses field, and it's dragged down this time by Brandon Jones for a loss.
And that's what you get out of him, the highs and the lows. Sometimes he comes up with those phenomenal plays, and then the previous play you see there where he just wasn't as good as he can be. And Todd Orlando has done a good job of helping that young safety grow. I don't think he's putting him in spots where it exposes what he's not as strong at right now.
Is there a more intense-looking defensive coordinator in America than Todd Orlando?
That scowl is awesome.
Another give. And Dom Williams brought down by Malik Jefferson. It was going to be a 3rd and long. 7 yards to go for the Jayhawks. Could be talking about 4-down territory. 3 for 4 so far in the red zone. Last time here, Poona Ford blew his way through the Kansas offensive line, and Davis got the interception. Clean pocket. Almost picked off by Devontae Davis.
Great awareness there, though. Turned around at the perfect time. He felt that wide receiver starting to set it down. That's when you know the ball's coming. That's when it's showtime. As a defensive back, you've got to slow it down and be calm at the point of the play. Devontae Davis had an opportunity there to haul one in, but he didn't. But I like the technique leading up through the coverage.
32 yards from Gabriel Rui. And it's good. So David Beatty elects to go for the points, and there's 3 of them. 15-point game, Texas leads.
Kick is up, and the kick is good. The Jayhawks win it, 24-21.
Yeah, we had to go there, but that was the event that got the wheels in motion that eventually led to Tom Herman following Charlie Strong as the head coach here at the University of Texas. And David Beatty always motivating his guys on the sideline. We spoke to him earlier this week. He said he told Carter Stanley that Deontay Foreman was about to fumble. Kyle Porter showing some moves to around the 33-yard line. Deontay Foreman had a Texas school record 51 carries and told Stanley he's going to fumble and we're going to need you to tie this game. He eventually did, and in overtime, Kansas prevails. What did that game mean for both sides?
Well, it gave them confidence, you know, and for this Kansas team, they haven't won a lot of games in conference play, and then to take out one of the elite programs. I know Texas right now is not playing like an elite program, but the history of this program you can't argue with. And so to get a win like that for your players, it makes going to practice a lot easier, and certainly listening to your coaches.
Bouchel looking to pass, dropping way back, long throw across the field, incomplete. Looking for Colin Johnson. Chris, what can you add on that win for KU last year?
Well, one thing that Tom Herman told me before the game is he said, listen, what that happened last year, that has nothing to do with today. But he did say I could see it in the players throughout the week. They had a little bit more energy, a little bit more pep in the steps. So while it may mean nothing to the coaches, you can tell it still means something to the players out here.
Gotcha. Looked like that was going to be the turning point. It's Colin Johnson breaking free. Colin Johnson, first down. Shy of the 50, but a big gain from Colin Johnson. Going back, though, as a player is down. Hassan Defense injured on the play. That win for Kansas, it snapped a 23-game losing streak against bowl subdivision competition. Thought that was going to be it, right? Where Kansas starts to go on a run. Since that game, they've just gone on to lose 9 straight to the bowl subdivision.
This looked like a little friendly fire here.
Looks like Shaquille Richmond got into the back of the head of defense as Richmond tried to make that tackle. We'll take a quick break.
Hiring was always a huge challenge. Endless hours on job sites with not a lot to show for it. Then I found ZipRecruiter. They figured out hiring. I post my job, and they send me the right people because their technology is smart.
Go to ZipRecruiter to post over 100 job boards with one click, then easily select the best candidates from your dashboard.
ZipRecruiter often sends me the right person in 24 hours.
The smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter, official sponsor of Texas Athletics. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hook'em.
So Hassan Defense was able to get off the field under his own power. Kyle Mayberry checking in his place. 1st and 10 for the Texas offense after a 15-yard pickup from Colin Johnson. Looking for Duvernay, and it's almost picked up. A potential game-turning moment, but Dorrance Armstrong cannot secure the football.
Yeah, I think Michelle held on to the ball too long here. They're moving the pocket here. That initial pump fake, I'm not sure what it was for, but you'd like to see him continue to move outside of the pocket, and that's exactly why you do that, so you can get him on the outside and give him an opportunity to throw the ball away as well.
The one on the field was an incomplete forward pass.
So now it looks like they're going to see if this was a fumble. Bouchel has taken some shots over the past couple of games. He got rocked against TCU, 7 sacks, the most since 2015. It takes another big blow from the backside from Jackie Desir. What do you see here?
I see that arm coming forward. I think this is an incomplete pass.
It comes forward because Desir forces it forward. But Armstrong, he was just seeing end zone at that point in time.
Hey, he hadn't been doing his work after practice catching the football. You can clearly tell.
So 3 sacks in this game by the Kansas defense, but there's been a lot more consistent pressure than that. And you bring up the point, we talked to Coach Herman about this. Anytime they throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field, they have to max protect. And even with that, guys are leaking through.
Well, that time they went max protect and moved the pocket. And so, you know, it's a close call here. These are the times where I just
You're glad
feel
you're doing
for these
this?
officials. Absolutely.
See, his arm is going forward. Desir had the contact to make it go forward. And Coach Beatty stated his case on the Godzillatron. He thinks he's got this one.
After the review, the line on the field stands. Incomplete pass. 2nd down.
Not quite. But we're still in a moment of the game where this thing is still in the balance. We're talking about a 15-point game here, and the Texas offense has almost come to a grinding halt. 277 yards. That's only 3 more than the Jayhawks. Like we've told you, though, multiple times, the turnovers, that has been the difference in this game. Quick pass to Tennille Carter. Ball loose. Who will come up with it? Humphrey and Johnson say it belongs to the Burnt Orange. But Texas will retain possession. That brings me back to Coach Herman talking about getting this offense going, saying that they have to be nearly perfect for them to pick up yards.
The ruling on the field was a fumble recovered by the offense. 3rd down.
And another review. Also, this is interesting. Carter obviously came up with it.
Kansas is
But
called their
from this
first
angle,
timeout of the half.
It looks like the Jayhawks immediately fell on the football. Shaquille Richmond was there, but did not ultimately come up with it.
You know who's making their money tonight? The replay officials. I mean, my, oh my, I don't know if I've ever seen this many replays and calls that could go either way. It was clearly a fumble there, but I think you're right. Who initially recovered. But as long as he still has a hand on that, if I'm the officiating crew, you've got to let the play out. Whoever comes up with the football is who the ball should be awarded to. And let's also mention Tennille Carter was immediately called off the field from running back coach Stan Drayton, and Daniel Young is now in the ball game. Those are the things you can't do if you're trying to earn more reps as a young player.
So Texas will once again keep possession after the review, and Tennille Carter, a quick burst through the line, and Carter only his 2nd carry of the evening. That should move the chains. And they will roll. It's a 1st down. Move them on. So Texas running backs really, for as young as they are right now with Carter and Young, that has not been the issue. And even with all the offensive woes, turning the football over has not been a problem. Johnson brought down by Julian Chandler. A lot of times you get into offenses that are not effective, and turnovers are the big reason why. They're holding onto the football. They're just not consistently moving it. Put up 7 points against TCU, and then no turnovers. Daniel Young met by a brick wall. Daniel Wise with the stop. And here we go, some activity. Peyton Bender, the JUCO transfer quarterback that has been the starting quarterback for most of the year, starts to get warm.
And speaking of activity, Daniel Wise up to his normal antics, getting through the Texas offensive line again.
Crucial third down. Duvernay, incomplete. It hits the turf before Devin Duvernay can bring it in. And that brings up fourth down. What is happening right now with this Texas offense?
Well, I think this has been the trend. We covered it early on in this show that this offense has underperformed. Despite the injuries, the lack of depth along the offensive line, they're still searching for a playmaker.
They're going for it on 4th and 4. Bouchel a pass. Off the back foot, he did not have any time. Looking for Humphrey. The fans want a flag. They ain't gonna get it. Oh, wait. We're showing the graphic for a flag. I did not see a flag on the field, though. That is correct. No flag on the field, and it's going to be Kansas football.
Yeah, Clinton Bowen, the defensive coordinator for the Jayhawks, sending a 6-man blitz. And just the ferociousness of Kansas defense gets home. They got in his face. And despite Bouchel being able to recognize it, it happened so quickly and so aggressively that the Jayhawks win that fourth down.
Deneen was there in a flash. Can Kansas make something of it? Stanley stays in at quarterback, and Malcolm Roach and company there for the immediate stop. Jason Hall in on the tackle as well. So once again, it's in the hands of the Texas defense.
Well, they're used to this. And, you know, here's where you start to wonder if this is a team that is fatigued or not. The time of possession, only about a 3-minute favor towards the Jayhawks, but this defense needing to step up again.
Brandon Jones with the tackle, back at the original line of scrimmage. And it's going to be 3rd and long.
A 3 and out would be nice here for this Texas defense for sure. And Kansas hasn't helped himself on 1st and 2nd down, barely chipping away at the chains. And as you see the dime package in for Texas, only 5 people inside of the box, which likely means they'll drop back numbers in coverage.
6 of 14 on 3rd down. Empty backfield for Stanley. Throws to the running back in motion, and that is well short. Taylor Martin didn't have the room he was looking for. Hall and Johnson there to force a punt. And Gary Johnson is down.
Officials timeout for an injury to a defensive player.
That is Tyler Patrick coming back into the stadium. He was hurt on a play earlier in this game and carted off. Gary Johnson still down. Johnson, the junior college transfer from Douglas, Alabama. Transferred from Dodge City Community College. You'll see him on the impact on the left side of Taylor Martin. He went straight down. And they will roll Johnson over. Being careful with his upper body. There's Johnson, 33. Oof. See his neck jar back on the contact. It is a 3-and-out. And the Jayhawks will have to punt it back to Texas. Reggie Hemphill maps back. And this is one of those times they need something to happen special teams wise. Hemphill maps has done it once this year. We'll catch that out of bounds. Not good field position here for the Texas offense. But there's a lot more going on than just right here in Austin, Texas. Huge night, major ramifications all across college football. And you called this, Georgia. You had their doubts about them being #1 in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought I was crazy, especially on my normal crew. I had them ranked 6th last week, and you see what happened, and then Bama locked up right now with Mississippi State. And so, you know, it's college football. It's November. And as we know, the cream of the crop rises to the top in November, and you're seeing some great matchups here in this month.
Including Oklahoma, TCU tonight. John Burt. And what a play on the perimeter as Colin Johnson just got forced back into Burt as Hassan defense was coming up with some physicality.
You're right. I don't think you can defend that wide receiver screen any better than that.
First 2 possessions of the second half ending on turnovers on downs for the Texas O. Back to the ground, but still nothing going. Like we said, this is a Kansas defense. You compare them to Baylor. When Texas had success running the football, Baylor doesn't have dudes on the defensive line like Kansas has with Armstrong and Wise. 7 carries, 1 yard rushing in the second half. And this will take us to the 4th quarter. So Texas puts up 28 points in the first. Only 7 points since. Nothing to show in this 3rd quarter. But the defense has done its job. It could be time to hold on. 15 minutes away. Can they hold on against Kansas, who's trying to do it in back-to-back years, pulling off an upset against the Longhorns?
They are not confused, but I don't want to be. I'm the prototype.
Starting the 4th quarter, Texas defense trying to hold on because the Texas offense sputtering. Got the 15-point lead, but the second half has not been kind to this Texas offense. Trying to convert here on 3rd and 5. Bouchel with time off the hands of little Jordan Humphrey. But we've got a flag. Tom Herman told us everything needs to be right for this group.
There's no foul for offensive pass interference. The ball was touched at or behind the line of scrimmage.
So that's going to bring up a 4th down. Said everything has to be perfect. Everything has to go right for this offense to pick up yards. Now, he's still very encouraged about what this group can be for next season, especially with the offensive line. Get another year for guys to put on some weight like Derek Kerstetter. Get some experience. But the here and now, not good. Michael Dixon had a 76-yarder against TCU last week, and a whistle before the snap. That 76-yarder, a career long for Dixon.
Is under further review. Ruling on the field that there was no offensive pass interference, that the ball was touched at or behind the line of scrimmage.
So we saw a similar review to this last week against TCU, where they went back to determine where the ball was when the contact in question took place. Call did not go well for Texas. So Ahmad, break it down for me. Where does this all start with the offense and the inefficiency?
Well, there's a lot of things, and I addressed them there in the open. I mean, the obvious, I believe, is the injuries and the lack of depth along the offensive line. You're trying to break into young quarterbacks. In addition to that, this is a team that's trying to learn a new offense. So let's see if we can. I'm not sure what the review is here. That all looks clean to me.
Yeah, they're looking at Cade Brewer on the block here. And he threw up his hands. Obviously, it was close. But checking to see if the ball was touched past the line of scrimmage. So look at number 80, middle of the screen. What do you think, Ahmad, from what you've seen?
I didn't see it there, but I did see Cade Brewer with a pick that needs to be worked on a little bit. He almost blocked the defensive back to.
After further review, the ball was touched beyond the line of scrimmage. Pass interference offense number 80. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
So instead of moving it back, the penalty declined on Cade Brewer. It's the same result. Texas is going to have to get rid of the football. And that's the second week in a row we've seen that call against Texas. The old pick play backfiring on Texas. 4th and 5, Dixon out. The dangerous Steven Sims Jr., and it's nearly blocked. Sims calls for the fair catch. He's down at the 24. Kansas trying to get something going for their own.
It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident-free. Because I don't use my cell phone when I'm driving, even though my family does and leaves me all alone. Here's something else. I don't share it with Mom. I don't. Right, Mom? I have a brand new putter you don't even know about. It's awesome.
Safe driving bonus checks only from Allstate.
Sometimes I leave the seat up on purpose.
Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Game day or any day, get your horns up on hook'emplus.com. The premier local site from the Statesman delivers live scoring, stories, and commentary from award-winning writers, plus dynamic photos and videos 24/7. hook'emplus.com.
Football on Longhorn Network is presented by Target. Your UT campus Target is now open in the Dobie Mall on the corner of 21st and Guadalupe. And in part by Coors Light. When it comes to ice-cold Coors Light, 21 means 21. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
So this is really cool, Ahmad. Usually on Fridays, before home games, Texas football players go to Dell Children's Hospital and visit the kids there. Instead, this past Friday, yesterday, they brought those children to the home of Texas football. We saw them with the players giving the tours, interacting with the kids and their family yesterday while we were there to meet with the coaches.
Love that tradition. I believe Mac Brown started it.
Charles Omenihu, Chris Boyd making quick contact, as neither offense has really been able to muster out the productive yards here in the second half. .28 carries, 75 yards for the Kansas rushing attack. To Herbert, looking for the edge and a nice gain, tiptoeing the sideline. Let's check in with Chris.
A couple injury updates for you. Dorian Leonard is still being evaluated with a foot injury. He was in obvious pain. I could hear him in the medical tent yelling. And also Gary Johnson has gone into the locker room to be evaluated for a head injury.
Two big playmakers for Texas. Herbert did not get the gains I expected on the sideline, so it sets up a 3rd and 7. Kansas 6 for 15 on 3rd down. Stanley nearly picked off again. Trying to mess with Devontae Davis as he was trying to hook up with Evan Fairs.
Devontae Davis with great coverage, starting for Holton Hill, who has been suspended for the final games of the year. Todd Orlando said, I've got confidence in both he and Josh Thompson to step in and make plays.
Bill Maps with a fair catch. Now let's take a look at our Texas targets, and one in particular. It is Lorenzo Joe. Started off the game with a 49-yard bomb from Shane Boucher.
Beautifully placed and thrown ball. Lorenzo Joe doing a nice job of getting underneath it. Here, just the sideline tiptoe catch, which was awesome. Coming back across the middle, and at 6'3", reaching down low to haul that one in on a big 3rd down. Lorenzo Joe putting in work tonight and having a career night.
5 times they've thrown his way. 5 times he's hauled it in, 98 yards. As Ahmad mentioned, career night for Lorenzo Joe. Daniel Young back into the game, and in the backfield with a hit is Deneen. A tackle for loss. This Kansas defense has been living in the backfield. Now 6 tackles for loss in the game. Swing pass to Young. Minimal yardage. Deneen again on the tackle. So you can look at it a couple ways here. Yeah, Texas is struggling to move the football, but as long as they can hold on to the football in these final 12.5 minutes, that may be all they need to do with the way the Texas defense is playing right now. Bouchel picked off. Defense. And a flag to end the play. That would be a jinx. The last thing that the Texas offense can afford to do just happened.
Watch the pressure here coming off the edge from Dorrance Armstrong, working against Derek Kerstetter, the freshman.
And you see that late contact by Daniel Young, drawing the flag. Still have not made a call. That one seems obvious. Texas defense is already out there ready to hold and get to work. Just waiting to see where they will start off. And that was just the last thing that this offense could afford to do. Defense, it's not just in his name, it is his name.
2 fouls in the play, 1 on each team, and they both will be enforced. During the return, illegal block in the back. The intercepting team, number 16, 10 yards from the end of the play. After the play, personal foul, late hit, number 32. 15-yard penalty, first down, Kansas.
So Mayberry with the illegal block. And then Daniel Young with the late hit. Hassan defense, the difference-making play, though. You're struggling for words here, Ahmad.
I'm just looking at it. Texas with 3 times as many penalties as Kansas. So the offense is struggling, but you're also playing a sloppy brand of football that needs to be cleaned up.
Kansas 1-8. Their lone win, season opener against Southeast Missouri. Sims in space to Sean Elliott. Shot out of a cannon.
The way he's played tonight, he was named a Thorpe Award semifinalist, that given to the best defensive back in the country. Leads the country in interceptions, but we've seen a lot of this from Deshaun Elliott today. Flying around, making solo tackles. That's what you want to see from that free safety position.
Sims with a career-high 9 catches, also a touchdown. Stanley trying to get away from Hager. Hager's going to bring him down, and a flag on the play. The wild man, Breck Hager, dragging down Carter Stanley, and a hold.
Holding. Offense, number 69. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Hager, the son, the all-time leading tackler here in Texas, Britt Hager. That's going to put the Jayhawks way back. 3rd and a mile. Hager trying to get the crowd into it. Stanley drops it. Steps up. It's going to be close depending on the spot. He will be short of the first down. And time after time, Kansas has been conservative on these 4th downs, electing to go for points. This seems like it's more obvious. 10:54 left. You're in good field position. Got to go for it, and the offense is staying out. But not before a little deliberation. Kansas taking a timeout. 4th and 2 when we return. 15-point ball game.
Out of the half.
Here we go. Stretch drive. 10:47 left. And it's a 4th and 2. Texas holding on to the 35-20 lead over David Beatty and the Kansas Jayhawks. Jayhawks started this drive after picking off Shane Buechele. They need 2 to keep this one going. And movement, that's going to draw the flags. False start, backbreaker for the Kansas offense.
Offense, number 73, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Watch that right guard. Just that little rock right there. The Jayhawks knew it. That is a costly penalty, and they've been pretty good in that area tonight. Now you risk the threat of this Texas defense bringing pressure and heating up the pocket for Stanley.
Still got to go. 4th and 7 now. Pressure. Quick quickly. Stanley throws it up for grabs. And Harrell gave it everything he got, but it falls incomplete. Jason Hall with another absolute shot on Carter Stanley. He got one in the first quarter.
Offside defense.
Oh, no.
Number 90. Line up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 4th down.
So Charles Omenihu, too close.
Lined up in the neutral zone right here. That's where the penalty came from. What a costly penalty.
Back to 4th and 2. A late change with Deshaun Hughes, Charles Omenihu, and Chris Nelson coming on.
Wildcat for the Jayhawks.
Martin will take the snap. Big tackle, Malik Jefferson.
I talked about him earlier. The smarts, the sound technique, and the speed. You'll see the smarts, the sound technique right here out of 46. Playing at a very high level right now. You know the running back's not going to pass, so flow freely to the ball. Wherever he's going, that's where the ball's at. Follow that fullback. Runs right off the rear end of the fullback. Great tackling angle. And 46, the hero on 4th down.
And whenever this defense needs a stop, they come up with one. Bouchel to Johnson. And Colin Johnson with the catch at midfield. A carryover of momentum from defense to offense.
It looks like Texas is going to try to press the gas. Bouchel doing an excellent job, and you see this when you watch him on film. He can take speed off the ball to throw it in windows like that and throw the perfect weight on a pass.
Kyle Porter looking for room, can't find much. 2 yards on 1st down. Miller with the stop.
What a critical drive here for this Texas offense. As you said, 28 points in the first quarter. Since that time, only 7 points. They were shut out in the 3rd by this Jayhawks defense. They need to stay on the move.
Tennille Carter, just shy of the 1st down. And they had an opportunity here in the beginning of the 2nd half to go for some long field goals, but we're talking 50 yards plus. And with the current kicking situation, they had to roll the dice. They had to go for it. First 2 4th down conversions did not make. Carter weaving, 1st down. And the clock continues to run.
Great patience there. Just sliding back and forth, making it incredibly hard for the defense to spot him, find out where he's at, and being aware of where the marker was at to get the 1st down.
Porter with the carry. On the edge and tripped up. Nothing happening with Kyle Mayberry coming up with this stop. Mayberry, the sophomore from Booker T. Washington out of Tulsa. That's Clint Bowen wearing that neon cap. Make sure his guys know where to look. And in talking with Bowen, this is what he said was the biggest strength of his Kansas defense, the ability to stop the run with their front 7. Early on, Daniel Young got it churning, but it's been tough sledding since then.
Third and long. Amani Foreman has been big on 3rd down for Texas this season. Lined up at the top of your screen there in the slot.
And that's Colin Johnson is going to be met by a whole host of Kansas defenders. And you're in that in-between area right here, where from what we've seen so far in the second half indicates that Texas will go for it. 4th and 5.
Here's where not having a consistent place kicker can really kill you, because if you can score a field goal here, you'd make it a 3-score game. Now it still remains at 2 scores if you get stopped here on this 4th down.
And it's going to be a direct snap to Kyle Porter as Buechele lines up now in the slot. But 2 seconds on the play clock, and they'll call a timeout and try to figure this one out. Huge 4th down coming up. It's 35-20. Texas trying to hold on. Texas has made a change at kicker. Mitchell Becker in for Joshua Rowland. Results the same. Wide left on a 44-yarder. So instead of going for a 49-yard field goal from the 32-yard line, Texas will go for it here on 4th and 5. Buechele in the shotgun, flanked to his left by Kyle Porter. Quick pass, Colin Johnson. And it should be 1st down, Texas. So it works here, but with the kicking game, you're talking about Texas now passing up an opportunity in the second half alone for a 49-yarder, a 52-yarder, and a 53-yarder. Longer field goals, but with some of the good ones in the past year, makeable ones. Not this season, however. Buechele pump fake, and we'll go back to the primary receiver. Little Jordan Humphrey with the shake, and the hurdle! He does it again! Up and over Kyle Mayberry.
This kid is just a phenomenal athlete. The length he has and the ability. 6'5", 225, the sophomore. Wow, that is spectacular.
3rd hurdle of the season. First one against Kansas State resulted in a fumble that the Longhorns recovered. Buechele got Duvernay. Duvernay crawling into the end zone, but he will be a yard shy. A score should ice it. Humphrey to receive the direct snap. And a foot short. But this is what happened last time they used Humphrey. Stuffed initially, second going, he got it, and an injured player is down. Loneker will take a knee. And that will bring us to a pause. So let's take a look at this direct snap to Lil Jordan Humphrey.
That was complimentary of this package early on. We go back to the 18-wheeler package with Tyrone Swoops, which was very similar, ran a lot of power football. It appears as though they're trying to do something very similar there with little Jordan Humphrey. I like this, and you saw this at the beginning of the year, this package. But Texas bringing it out tonight was successful early on inside of the red zone. But it looks like he's down there at the line of scrimmage. But I like it. And the fans here were booing because it looked like Texas had the momentum. They were in the right personnel grouping, I think, to take advantage of Kansas. Now, if you're Kansas, you get a break. And now another opportunity to see if they'll come back out in that. I would doubt that Texas lines back up in that.
Texas will huddle up. Buechele is out at quarterback for the Longhorns. Humphrey's not on the field. It's Warren taking the direct snap. And Warren diving into the end zone. No signal yet.
Yeah.
How did he not
This was
get
clearly
in?
a touchdown. This will be reviewed. This will be a touchdown. This is a touchdown. Watch the replay here. Clearly breaks the plane. Watch his helmet. Watch the ball. Yeah. This is a touchdown.
Going on the field, that the runner is short.
Oh, this is going to be reviewed. I mean, of all the calls that have been reviewed tonight, you would think this one would be part of it, and here we go again.
The previous play is under further review. The rolling on the field is that the runner is short of the goal line.
Well, Chris Warren looks like he got that one punched in, and it has been an eventful week for Warren. Moved to tight end H-back this week. Trying to figure out, what do we do with the guy that's 250 pounds, can bend, can move, but is not having as much success running the football as our other running backs, or younger guys like Daniel Young and Tennille Carter. And the answer was H-back tight end.
I saw a different type of force that time out of Chris Warren, and determination that we haven't always saw this season. You know, he was north and south. There was no wiggle there. He had one goal in mind, and that was picking up that yard. And from the first angle that I saw here on my monitor, it appeared as though it's a touchdown. I think the officials would be hard-pressed to come back out here and say that this wasn't a touchdown.
Warren torpedoing his way into the end zone. That direct snap has been good. That wild look for this Texas offense. Humphrey with the touchdown on the other side. Sam Ehlinger gave him a good look when he came in for a change of pace. Ended up hitting Cade Brewer for a touchdown. And Chris Warren is already calling it. He's saying, this is a done deal. Give him my score.
I don't blame him here on this one. I'm not sure what's taking so long here. Looks pretty clear to me.
I don't know what the record is for reviews.
We're approaching it, though.
Yeah.
After further review, the ruling on the field was that the runner broke the plane of the goal line, therefore it is a touchdown. Clock operator, cleaned up the game clock to 5:34, please. 5:34 in the game clock.
And with 5:34 on the clock, that should ice it for the way this Texas defense is playing. 12 plays, 68-yard touchdown drive. Capped by Chris Warren, the third out of the Wild. 42-20. Texas closing in on revenge.
Starts early around here, and it's hard work. But when did that ever stop you? It's good to have ASCO and reliable case construction equipment backing you up. Doesn't matter what's in front of you, you gotta get it done. And ASCO has genuine case parts and service to make it through the job.
From Camp Casey, South Korea, this is Lieutenant Colonel Yerkidis, Command Sergeant Major Douglas with 2-4 Field Artillery Battalion. We want to give a shout out to the University of Texas Longhorns. Welcome, Horns!
That is awesome. And we extend our appreciation to the men and women of our armed forces. Thank you for putting your life on the line to keep us safe. There's a veteran with his T-ring. Letting us have some fun watching a game of football. So Ahmad, 42-20. The real story here, though, it's been the Texas defense and the takeaway.
Absolutely. And then you also get one on special teams, but this started the turnover party today. Antoine Davis taking it to the house. Coming back here, Jason Hall with a nice drop there in coverage, and then the special teams also getting involved in who was there? Antoine Davis. But he's not done. He comes back. Great pressure from Poona Ford. Over the top. Antoine Davis with an acrobatic catch for the fourth takeaway of the game.
3 of the 4 turning into touchdowns. The one immediately returned for a touchdown by Antoine Davis. The Hall interception set up the Ehlinger touchdown pass to Cade Brewer. Over the middle from Carter Stanley to Chase Harrell. And really the way this defense is playing right now, holding on to the football for the Texas offense and having a little, just enough in these final 2 games, I mean, that could be the recipe to get them bowl eligible. Matchups coming up next against West Virginia on the road and then back at home against Texas Tech. From what you've seen tonight, we're talking about high-scoring offenses they're going up against with West Virginia and Texas Tech. Is this type of offensive performance enough with the way the defense is playing?
I don't know. I really don't. I thought it was an underwhelming performance. Tom talked about trying to get the offense started when he talked to Chris going into half, and they looked worse than they did in the second half than they did in the first half. So this defense, though, is playing lights out right now.
Jason Hall coming up with the sack. So the 2 guys that have had to fight their way through special teams to get their spot on this defense tonight having ball games. Antoine Davis and Jason Hall.
Yeah, he splits the right tackle and the right guard, 2 offensive linemen. And Hall has been determined tonight, and he's blitzed with great determination, great timing, and then he's finishing the plays in the backfield. Fantastic job from the senior.
Hemp-Hill Maps, end over end punt. And that ball gets loose, but right out of bounds. And a penalty as Hemp-Hill Maps may have been hit before he had a chance to field this punt. They should review this.
Stop it.
Kick catch interference. Kicking team number 1, 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
That's on Bryce Tornadon. Let's take a look at the StubHub, your ticket out upcoming schedule. So a win here tonight, they're closing in on doing that. Makes them 1 game away from bowl eligibility. At West Virginia, Will Greer, one of the best in America. At home against Texas Tech, Shimanek, one of the best in the Big 12.
Yeah, the thing that gives me some promise is what they were able to do to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, which I believe have more potent offenses than they will see here down the stretch.
Daniel Young with the carry. Ellinger back in at quarterback.
And this is an important part of the game here. When you've got a team that's struggling to run the football, and now you're trying to milk the clock and to end the ball game, and everybody in the building knows you're running the football, including the Jayhawk defense. Can you move people out of the way up front? Can your running backs make people miss? And can you continue this drive to finish this game? That's the question.
And going forward is the biggest question against West Virginia and Texas Tech. Can you keep up offensively? I mean, because you know the Texas defense, at this point in time, there's no reason to believe that they're not going to be on their A game.
Yeah, but I go back to the comment I made about Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. You know, they kept up there because the defense played so great.
Yeah.
And so that's your
brings
only
us back
hope.
to the question. I mean, can the offense put enough up? You know, if they hold them to 14, can the Texas offense score 17 on West Virginia or Texas Tech? Defenses that number-wise aren't a lot different than Kansas. Texas offense has really been helped by good field position, by those takeaways and cashing in on them. Had the run game going early on with Daniel Young and Tennille Carter. Carter had a good night in limited action, but it has not been consistent. It's going to bring up a 4th down. Special teams, though, well, that's going to be another head scratcher.
Yeah.
Or I'd say it is a close game against West Virginia or Texas Tech. Bowl eligibility on the line. What do you do if it's, you know, the choice between a 42-yard field goal or going for it on 4th and 5? What do you do?
Well, you're at a disadvantage. There's no question about that. And if you're Texas, you continue to try to work towards answers. And that guy right there, Tom Herman, believes that this team has some promising pieces. And right now, their maturity level, the physicality in which they're playing, which
delay game. Defense, that penalty has declined. 4th down.
The physicality in which they're playing with, the energy and the effort, I think has been much different. But the reality of it is you're not getting results. And you've got to close out on those close ball games when you find yourself on the brink of making and getting that big win. And that's something that Texas has struggled, not just this year, but the last 3 years of closing out those games.
Michael Dixon punts it away. Ask yourself, as you watch this, is that hard to do? Feel the punt. Ahmad Brooks found out.
Mike, you've been phenomenal this year, but I really want to know what's the difference in the adjustments that you've had to make from Aussie rules to punting in American football?
So in Aussie rules, we hit lower kind of passes that spin like this. We hit it to a person that's running, and it's kind of like a route, a quarterback throwing it to a receiver. We punt it like that. So I had to learn here how to hit more spirals that go further and get that hang time.
Nicely done. But were you wearing tights? Those yoga pants?
Yeah, man, those are yoga pants. That's normally what you find me in.
I'm willing to doubt it. Stanley's scrambling.
But in all seriousness, too, standing back there, and this young man is certainly one of the favorites to be one of the best specialists in the country this year. And the hang time and the way that the nose comes down, it is extremely difficult to catch punts off the foot of Michael Dixon. And we saw that today as a returner for the Jayhawks. Bobbled a return, and Antoine Davis pounces on it, and Texas gets another takeaway.
That set up the little Jordan Humphrey touchdown run. So brutal schedule after this for Kansas. They close with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State back-to-back. Stanley thrown across his body. That falls incomplete. And after the game, closing in on Texas game day final. Now Ricky heard me saying that he had my tie, and I was a little upset. He texted me that I needed to make a clarification and a correction that he has returned my tie. Thank you, Ricky Williams. Manny Acho was a little upset. I referred to him as Sam Acho's little brother.
That's great.
We'll have to wait until next week.
Hashtag
to get me back. You got it. You got it. Really impressive work, though, by this Texas defense. Deshaun Elliott, one of the best hits you'll see all year long. Antoine Davis, Jason Hall showing what a little patience and hard work does. Poona Ford on the second Davis interception. I mean, he just mauls an offensive lineman and falls into Carter Stanley's lap. There's one breakdown, but with 18 seconds left, game is out of reach. You know, though, Todd Orlando's he's going to bring that one up on the old film and point that out to his guys. Tom Herman says the ultimate compliment you can give him as a head coach is that his team is fighting. They're playing hard. Did you see that tonight?
I saw it defensively, and you'd still like to see. Josh Thompson in coverage, the freshman. Appeared as though it might have been pass interference, and he gave up the touchdown.
How do you think Devontae Davis did? Because he got the start over Josh Thompson.
Pass interference, defense, number 29. The penalty is declined.
With Holton Hill suspended for the year.
I thought he played admirably. Yeah, he had an opportunity to get an interception in the end zone, and just wasn't able to haul one in. But I think as you continue to look at it, that's going to be a key matchup moving forward, as you talked about some of these explosive offenses in West Virginia and Texas Tech that they will be trying to defend. So you're going to need him to bring his best. You're going to need him to really step up and show that he was a preseason all Big 12 pick headed into last season. Yeah. He's got the length. He's got the potential. Now he's got to put all those pieces together and bring them out to the field, because there's no doubt about it, this young man is talented.
And we asked Todd Orlando who would be your best open field tackler on the team, and he said usually it would be Holton Hill, but with him not in the mix for the rest of the year, the way it stood at this moment in time, Chris Boyd. And he played a pretty solid game. When you're not mentioning his name a lot, you know that as a quarterback, it's a good night.
When he's using great technique and he's not trailing plays, and that's what you see a lot of when he gives up plays. He goes in with the wrong hand, or his eyes are in bad position. So the more that young man can grow, it'll really help with the loss of Holton Hill, but they really need both of those guys to step up their game as you're taking on two offenses that are going to throw the football all over the yard and really challenge those cornerbacks.
Probably still the conversation will be following this game, as it is anytime that like Vince Young or Colt McCoy is not the quarterback of the University of Texas, who should be the quarterback. So from what you've seen from Bouchel, saw limited time with Ellinger, cleared to play in this game, had a touchdown pass to Cade Brewer. What do you think?
I think he remains a starter. He started the last 3 games. But what I'd like to see is Sam Ellinger get more reps. Utilize him more in the red zone. Get him involved with the game. And you know his strengths. And I know the staff may even be trying to protect him. But the cool part about this is I played here at the University of Texas, where there was a real quarterback controversy. You had the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in Major Applewhite, and then you were bringing in the top recruit in the country in Chris Sims. And those two guys competed. What you hope that happens between those two players is that they compete so hard that they elevate each other's game, and now it elevates the entire team's ability to win games in clutch moments. Now, your quarterback touches the ball every snap. So that's why it's so valuable and key here. But these are two young quarterbacks that are still getting broken into this offense, still learning what they're good at and trying to develop their strengths, and also make sure that their weaknesses are buttoned up.
Well, Jordan Humphrey going back for it with a fair catch off the onside attempt. And Bouchel, I mean, put it on the money. Opening play of the game, he found Lorenzo Joe, and that definitely not only sent a statement, but they got out to that 14-0 lead and really set the stage and gave the offense the cushion it would need to work with. Now, you would think the cheers are for Ellinger returning to the game. It's actually because there's 2 babies being showed on the Godzillatron right now.
So adorable.
They are cute, are they not? Ellinger taking a knee. 2 games left. West Virginia, Texas Tech. Longhorns 1 game away from bowl eligibility. What does that mean?
That just means they've got to finish the mission. And if you're the seniors in that locker room, make sure these young guys fight hard for you down the stretch, and that they understand the importance of this team making it to a bowl game.
Defense, it was their night. 4 takeaways leading to 21 points. Antoine Davis, career night. Couple of interceptions, 1 pick 6. Recovered a fumble as well. 42-27, the final. Horns with the win. They need 1 win in the last 2 to get to bowl eligibility. Coming up next, Texas Game Day Final with Alex Loeb.
Welcome into Texas Game Day Final. Well, a win is a win. Texas picks up the victory over Kansas. Win number 5 on the season as Tom Herman and the Longhorns even up their record at 5-5 with 2 games to go on the year. Alongside Manny Acho, Corey Redding, and Ricky Williams, I'm Alex Loeb. What a strange game, gentlemen. Texas, as we said, gets the victory, but they had just about 12 more yards than Kansas. Kansas has more first downs, more passing yards than Texas. What do we make of this victory?
Yeah, you can call it strange or you can call it unimpressive. A win is a win, and Texas needed a win, and that is what they did, and that's what they got, so I applaud them. But like you said, it wasn't a very convincing victory.
You know, if you took away the 2 defensive scores, we probably would be in overtime right now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
the defense came through and they made good plays, and that was the turning point of the game.
Yeah, I think obviously Texas is a better team. They didn't play better in the second half. And for me, that's disconcerting. I know it's moving towards the end of the season, and they may have assumed they're going to win this game. But the way I played the game, I felt fortunate to be on the field and wanting to give my best and go out there and make plays. And I just didn't see the offense. I mean, this second half was a boring game of football to watch. And there's enough talent on that offense to make it a little bit more exciting and to be more consistent. Texas was really bad on third down today. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think they were like 4 of...
Yeah, they're 5 of 17
5
on
of
third.
17, yeah.
Well, the offense started off with a bang. First play of the game, Shane Buechele throws the touchdown. They put up huge numbers in the first quarter. First time they've scored 28 points in the first quarter in about 12 years. So what went wrong as far as the offense is concerned over the final 3 quarters?
I think they started to lose what appeared to be an identity. It appeared to be shots, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, shots. But then all of a sudden in the middle of the game, they stopped taking the deep passes down the field. The running game was now losing the explosive plays. I just think offensively, they really lost the identity of what they were going for.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm giving too much emphasis to this, but as an offensive player, like sometimes I needed time to get into a rhythm. And with so many players coming in and out and guys not really getting into a rhythm, I go back to, I think it was the 3rd series, 5 consecutive runs got Texas in the end zone, and then they went away from the run.
Had about 5 straight passes after that. Daniel Young starts the game at running back. He comes out. Tennille Carter scores a touchdown. He comes out the next series. Is that the kind of rhythm you're talking about, or lack of rhythm, that these running backs really wanted to get into? Daniel Young seemed like when he got consecutive carries, he was starting to feel a little something there.
Yeah, like you see Lorenzo Joe, they let him get into a rhythm, throwing the ball. There was some consistency there. And I think it's one part of what I'm talking about, a rhythm, is our individual players, but the other part of a rhythm is play calling. You know, you get into a rhythm of calling plays that work. All the teams I've been on, offensive coaches say, we're going to do what works until they stop us. I didn't see Texas doing what works today.
And Kansas really didn't stop them consistently. They just